What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6SS Chapter 123 Lucky Goddess. Enel is the lucky star. The next morning, Yang Hao woke up with a soft fragrance. Are you awake? I'll get you dressed. A snow-white figure was sleeping next to Yang Hao. When he saw Yang Hao waking up, he immediately stood up gently and served him. Looking at the long-haired beauty in front of him, Yang Hao raised a smile. This beautiful woman is none other than Lucky of the Shandia clan. Last night, Lucky dressed up well and took the initiative to deliver food to our door. Yang Hao was not surprised by this scene. After all, after he figured out the version of the simulation system later, he continued to simulate. So Lucky's appearance was expected by him. Originally, Yang Hao planned to ignore it. After all, he was busy simulating. Moreover, Yang Hao has never been a person who likes this aspect. With Baby -5 and Violet, things just happen for a reason. But after thinking about it, Yang Hao still took Lucky in. The reason is also very simple. He knew what Lucky was doing. And this is exactly what he wants to see, so he didn't mind and gave the Shandians a reassurance so that they could work for him with confidence and hard work. Ever since, last night was a night of heavy gunfire. What surprised Yang Hao a little was, Lucky is nothing short of a Shandia warrior. Needless to say about the figure, toughness is also very good. Even though it was his first time, it still made Yang Hao feel a little satisfied. At this time, the other party's attitude also made Yang Hao very satisfied. Maybe it was because she had tied up the relationship, or maybe she had been mentally prepared for a long time, and her posture was extremely low at this time. It is no exaggeration to say that she is Yang Hao's maid. Put on pants, put on shoes, wash your face, comb your hair, squeeze your shoulders. This kind of service attitude is even better than Violet's. Of course, the different positioning of the two sides also determines their different ways of facing Yang Hao. Violet is more inclined to seduce, so she will not behave like a maid, but will exude charm and attract Yang Hao as much as possible. It's just that for Yang Hao, it has no effect at all. After withdrawing his thoughts, Yang Hao looked at Lucky with a touch of fire in his eyes. Within a moment, an indescribable sound suddenly came from the room. It wasn't until noon that the two of them left the room. At this time, Lucky was fully dressed, with a transparent silk scarf on his face. She limped back to report the good news. Yang Hao, on the other hand, found gone fewer and came up with just one sentence. From now on, Lucky of the Shandia clan will be the concubine of the god. She can live in the shrine. Hearing this, Gone Fewer was startled and then nodded. He was not too surprised by this. Lucky came to see Yang Hao last night, so he naturally knew about it. He even knew that Lucky had not returned home all night. What happened during this period is self-evident. Not to mention, Yang Hao now came up and made Lucky the divine concubine. Although Yang Hao did not have any prescribed responsibilities for this concubine, she obviously had a transcendent status. I'm afraid even he, the acting god, can't compare. Ganfuor sighed secretly. He had also lived for many years and had some wisdom. At this time, he naturally understood the plans of the Shandia family. But he didn't say much. Now, after the Enel period, he has changed his mentality. A Payado can completely open the right of residence to other people. It doesn't matter what God's island is. As long as the islanders live and work in peace and contentment, that will be fine. Otherwise, no matter how big and magnificent the residence of the gods is, so what? In fact, Yang Hao asked the Shandians to relocate, which was exactly what Gone Fewer wanted. After all, he originally planned to let some of the islanders of Angel Island immigrate here if possible. Angel Island is too small and has no conditions for growing food. But God's Island of Payado is different. If farming and development can be carried out here, the quality of life of the islanders will definitely be improved to a higher level. As for the grievances with the Shandia people, Ganfu has long since put it aside. After the ups and downs, he realized that fighting was completely meaningless. Thinking of this, Gone Fewer suddenly asked Yang Hao, Lord Ape God, I have something I want to ask your permission for. Oh, are you talking about letting more people live in a Payado? Yang Hao raised his eyebrows and asked with a half smile. Gone Fewer was shocked and lowered his head subconsciously, greatly shocked. This was indeed what he had in mind. What he didn't expect was that Yang Hao knew it before he even said it. This kind of perception is stronger than Enel. You know, Enel's surveillance ability is only able to eavesdrop on people talking. Yang Hao chuckled. What about eavesdropping on his heart? Without a doubt, it was the castle earrings that made the difference. Hearing Yang Hao's words, Gone Fuli was overjoyed and thanked him. Okay, Lord Ape God, I will take care of it. A huge castle with a golden surface began to appear in the temple. However, we still need to set some thresholds for entry to the island, otherwise it would be ridiculous if everyone on Angel Island would move here. This is not a lucky star. What is a lucky star? Haha. And in the future, Enel can at least function as a humanoid nuclear power plant. Unexpectedly, Yang Hao seems to have the ability to eavesdrop on people's voices. In addition, it can now bring him two positive changes. One is to prevent the castle earring from being damaged by the opponent, and the other advantage is that it allows him to cooperate with himself to brush up on lightning resistance. Speaking of which, it would be of great benefit to conquer Enel as soon as possible. You can let people live in a peyote, but you have to manage it well. Don't let everyone go to a peyote. It's better to set some thresholds. As soon as he finished speaking, Ganfu hurriedly left to make arrangements. Seeing Ganfu's back, a smile appeared on Yang Hao's lips. By the way, Yang Hao's Super Saiyan ape god form was inspired by his opponent. Or is it because the simulation is good or not? He originally just wanted to gain lightning resistance, but he didn't expect a benign change in the effect of lightning body forging to appear later. But he didn't know what he was thinking. Although the Super Saiyan god form cannot be officially used in reality yet, it is only a matter of time. For example, the transformation castle at this time. Now it seems that Enel is really his lucky star. It is worth mentioning that during yesterday's simulation, Yang Hao also discovered another side effect of lightning resistance. So today, he planned to formally conquer the other party. In other words, Enel can bring him not only lightning resistance, but also help him exercise. That is, when the body is subjected to severe electric shocks and develops resistance, it also has the effect of exercising. This guy does his job and is indeed a good steward. Looking up at the castle, Yang Hao walked in with a smile on his face. During yesterday's simulation, he had found a way to make Enel surrender quickly. Since he could predict the situation when Lackey came to his door, he could also predict Ganfu's proposal. Forget about tens of billions of gold, there was still an empty island left for him to play with. Thinking like this, Yang Hao had a thought, and the gold earring on his left ear suddenly fell to the ground and changed. He didn't care about Ganfu's thoughts, as long as the other party could manage the empty island well and assist him well. However, he was too lazy to explain and responded directly to his suggestions. This was also discovered by Yang Hao accidentally. Although the castle earrings are not specially developed, Yang Hao can still use some basic abilities. Chapter 124 Conquering Enel, 5-year agreement. Almost at the moment Yang Hao entered the castle. In a certain room in the castle, Enel, who had been dozing off and trying to recover, suddenly opened his eyes. One day later, he naturally had a cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but his severe injuries did not improve much. But now, sensing a familiar atmosphere in the castle, Enel's face suddenly turned gloomy. But he did not sit still and wait for death. Instead, he secretly accumulated strength and planned to launch a thunderous blow against Yang Hao. Enel worked hard to encourage the heart network to conduct detection. Close, very close. But at this moment, Yang Hao's joking voice came. Enel, you want to sneak attack me, right? I advise you not to do this. Hearing this, Enel was startled, but soon, without thinking, he blasted a thunderbolt. God's sanction. The dazzling blue thunder instantly broke through the door and struck Yang Hao outside. However, the next moment, the thunder slowly dissipated, and an ape figure walked leisurely against the thunder with a dark aura. Enel's pupils shrank. At this moment, the ape suddenly disappeared from the spot. The next second, a jet-black golden retriever fist hit Enel directly in the face. His body froze for a moment, and then he hit the wall next to him. There was a bang. Enel's injury recurred, and a line of blood suddenly flowed from the corner of his mouth. Why bother? Yang Hao's figure froze and shook his head. In fact, in the simulation, he also tried to persuade Enel several times. But I don't know if the other party is used to being arrogant. No matter what Yang Hao says, he will attack first. It's not that Yang Hao can't resist these thunder attacks, he just doesn't want the castle earrings to be damaged. But now it seems that this is inevitable. All I can do is give him a beating first. Thinking of this, Yang Hao clenched his iron fist and rushed forward again. Bang bang bang, boom boom boom. Soon, Enel became bruised and swollen, and became miserable. Hole, what on earth do you want to do? Enel's arrogance was finally shattered by Yang Hao's fist, and he finally shouted at the top of his lungs. One of his eyes was black and the other was blue, and he completely lost the pampering look of a god. Yang Hao laughed. It's very simple, just surrender to me. What, impossible? No surprise, when Enel heard this, he reacted violently and refused. Yang Hao laughed, and immediately followed him with another punch. He beat Enel until he could barely get up, then he stopped and said with a smile. By the way, the ship you built seems to be called Ark Proverbs. There is so much gold on it. I originally wanted to keep it and return it to you. Yes, but now that you are unwilling to surrender to me, it seems that there is no need. I'll melt it after I get out. Hearing this, Enel's face changed drastically. How dare you? But seeing the half-smiling look on Yang Hao's face, Enel suddenly fell silent. Although he is arrogant, it does not mean that he is an idiot. He still understood the current situation. Now, I have become Yang Hao's prisoner, and I can only let him round him up and flatten him. Not to mention the motto of saving the Ark, it is difficult to save one's life. Seeing Enel's expression, Yang Hao naturally knew what Enel was thinking, and immediately smiled and said, Well, let's change the conditions, Enel. How about if you serve me for 5 years, I will let you go free, and when the time comes, Ark Proverbs back to you. By the way, I forgot to tell you that I can also improve your Ark's Proverbs and even enhance it. When you ride on the stronger ark's proverbs, it will definitely be easier to go to the infinite land. Hearing this, Enel's expression suddenly changed. How do you know I'm going to infinite land? He looked at Yang Hao in great surprise. Enel didn't remember telling Yang Hao about his ideals. Yang Hao pretended to be mysterious and smiled. Enel, don't you know, I am a more omniscient and omnipotent ape god than you. Can you hide your little thoughts from me? In fact, if he wanted to gain lightning resistance and body forging effects, there was no need to conquer Enel in reality. In this way, it is naturally more effective than irritating Enel and enduring the thunder of unknown quality in the simulation. At the end of the sentence, Yang Hao looked amused. Yang Hao's thunder resistance is completely accomplished. With Enel's cooperation, the effects of Yang Hao's lightning resistance and lightning forging began to increase with half the effort. But if you conquer Enel, it will be much easier to farm. As for the 5 years Yang Hao said, it was just a period, he said casually. Realizing this, Yang Hao knew that it was time for him to leave the empty island. In this way, over time, the results of the simulation will be superimposed, and the effect will be amazing. No, I have to go to the infinite land, how could I die here? However, this idea just turned around in Yang Hao's mind and then stopped. Yang Hao felt that it was impossible for such a thing to happen. After all, Yang Hao's power changes almost every day. The effect of thunder and lightning body forging gradually became weak and almost negligible. The corners of Yang Hao's mouth curled up slightly. Although Yang Hao is smiling now, there is no concealment of murderous intent in his eyes. Enel's expression gradually became fierce, but he slowly lowered his proud head towards Yang Hao. Just like gastrointestinal strengthening, if these things can be done in reality, it is best to do them. Of course, the most important thing is that in reality, Enel can cooperate with him to brush up the lightning resistance and forge the body without spending any money. To put it bluntly, if Enel could really surpass his power and successfully counterattack, Yang Hao would admit it. At that time, he can completely control the lightning of corresponding volts, so that Yang Hao can achieve the effect of steady improvement. 5 years is definitely enough for him to stand at the top of the world. After hearing Yang Hao's words, Enel fell silent. If the time comes for him to learn armed domineering, there will inevitably be a risk of backlash. In fact, it didn't take 5 years for Enel's thundering ability to be of no use to Yang Hao. Haha, very good, Enel, you will soon find that being my subordinate is actually more majestic than being a god on an empty island. In this way, I stayed on the empty island for a few days. At the speed at which he simulates becoming stronger, Enel cannot even catch up. That kind of ending can only show that he didn't work hard enough to allow Enel to make a successful comeback. By that time, the possibility of the Thunder Fruit ability still being able to help Yang Hao is slim. It can be done in simulation. If he doesn't give a satisfactory answer, he will really kill himself. There is no need to say more about what happens next. Okay, now let's choose. Do you want to be beaten to death by me directly, or do you serve for 5 years in exchange for your freedom? Of course, there are still certain risks in conquering Enel. Chapter 125 Crazy Bellamy, Suicide Island Hopping? Inside the tavern, Bellamy punched a pirate away. There was a bang, the window shattered, and he laughed. Haha, what a waste, you can't even stand a punch from me. You're such a rubbish. If I ask you to borrow a drink, Lousy thinks highly of you. After finishing speaking, Bellamy picked up the wine on the table in front of him and started drinking heavily. Gululu. Sakis and the others next to him looked embarrassed when they saw this. In fact, before this, they also behaved in this way. Domineering and extremely arrogant. Those they cannot defeat are afraid of their Don Quixote-affiliated status and dare not provoke them. And those they could beat were teased and bullied by them. At that time, they didn't think there was any problem. But not long ago, something happened. Bellamy couldn't stand the fact that Yang Hao was appreciated by Doflamingo at such a young age and directly accepted him as a cadre, so he provoked him. The result of the provocation was naturally that Bellamy was knocked down with a punch, and then they also paid Bellamy's corresponding bounty to Yang Hao. Originally this was nothing. It only proves that Doflamingo really has a vision. That Yang Hao is really terrifyingly strong, at least, much better than Bellamy. All in all, they did not lose unfairly. However, when Bellamy woke up and learned the situation, he found it difficult to accept it. In the past few days, I have been hanging out in the tavern, drinking away my sorrows. In fact, they have no money. The 55 million given to Yang Hao was not just a patchwork, but it was almost all they had. So now, when Bellamy drinks, he really runs to find someone to borrow alcohol from. It's okay if the person borrows it, but if he doesn't, he'll punch him at every turn, and he especially likes to kill people with one punch. If he didn't fall down even with one punch, Bellamy would retaliate wildly. To be honest, such crazy Bellamy made Sakis and others a little worried. There is something obviously wrong with this state. Bellamy, okay, leave him alone, let's drink ours. Sakis couldn't help but persuade him, only he could persuade Bellamy. After hearing his persuasion, Bellamy finally sat back. But soon, the conversation between the two people who had just entered the tavern made Bellamy sit up suddenly again. Hey, did you hear that? It seems that a female Don Quixote cadre is here too. Yes, I saw her just now, she is very beautiful, her figure, tisk tisk. The two of them were talking when they suddenly noticed Bellamy approaching with a sullen face. Huh? Are you Bellamy? The two quickly recognized Bellamy's identity, and their faces paled. The original Bellamy was quite famous in Magic Valley Town. Later, he fought with Yang Hao and became even more famous. Although he made a fool of himself, it did not affect his notoriety too much. Especially in the past few days, he has continued to bully others, and the negative impact of his defeat at the hands of Yang Hao has been eliminated by most of them, making most people fear him again. So when the two of them saw Bellamy walking straight towards them, they were both surprised. Fortunately, Bellamy only asked the whereabouts of the Don Quixote female cadre from one of them, let the two of them go, and left the tavern. When Sakis and the others over there saw this scene, their expressions suddenly changed. Damn it, what is that guy going to do again? No way, he's still coming. Hurry up and chase. Sakis and the others soon realized what was happening, and they all chased after them with wild expressions on their faces. Sure enough, when they caught up, they discovered that Bellamy had gone to the weapons-selling branch set up by Don Quixote in Magic Valley Town. At this moment, a beautiful woman wearing a maid's dress suddenly appeared in front of Bellamy. That's BABY5, it's her right, stop Bellamy. Sakis and others were in great distress. Because the Don Quixote family is their backer, they naturally know everything about the cadres in the Don Quixote family. Even those who have never received a reward. So now, they immediately recognized that the so-called beautiful female cadre was none other than BABY5. Bellamy, you were crazy, come back with us. Sakis couldn't help but give Bellamy a tug. Usually Captain Bellamy is still very majestic, but at this time he doesn't care so much. This time she was responsible for inspecting 2 other islands, but the process went very smoothly, so she returned to the empty island and met with Yang Hao. However, Bellamy remained motionless, just looking at baby-5 with dangerous eyes. I want him to know that I am not weaker than his cadres, and I am also qualified to become a cadre of Don Quixote. He turned his back to Sakis and the others and said, Sakis. Who are you? Forget it, since you took the initiative, you can't blame me. Weapon transformation pistol girl. Baby-5 was troubled when Bellamy, Sakis and others came to her. Noticing Bellamy and the others, she couldn't help but frown. Who are you? I'm not crazy, I just want Doflamingo's approval. And just when the two were fighting fiercely, Bellamy's figure was bounced back, and pain still appeared in the tiger's mouth. Discovering that Baby-5 didn't recognize him either, Bellamy's fragile nerves were suddenly severely touched. Now Bellamy is provoking Don Quixote's cadres again and again, isn't this looking for death? Bang! A stream of bullets shrouded Bellamy. Bellamy. She frowned and looked at Bellamy, who flew out upside down. But they did not have the ability to organize a fight. Instead, after the two started fighting, they had to retreat. What? As soon as the words fell, Bellamy's feet turned into springs. After a sudden vibration, his whole body was like a rocket, shooting towards BABY5. Yes, the beautiful female cadre Bellamy and others saw was none other than BABY5. Their backer is Don Quixote. When Sakis and the others saw Bellamy really starting to fight with Baby 5, they couldn't help but look anxious. What Baby-5 didn't expect was that Yang Hao was not here. A figure smiled freely and jumped down from the Sky Island in full view of everyone. Suicide, island hopping. Where has he gone? With a roar, Baby 5's feet recovered, but his body turned into a huge pistol and started firing. Bellamy was slightly startled, and as soon as his figure landed on the ground, he jumped up like a cheetah. On an empty island thousands of meters above, a pretty face appeared on the shield. It was BABY5. But in the end, it transformed again. He dodged left and jumped right, and he nimbly dodged all the bullets. In this way, Bellamy and Baby-5 fought fiercely. Baby-5 was startled and reacted quickly by turning into a steel shield. Chapter 126. Yang Hao jumped from the Sky Island. Gaia Island, half-house coast. A middle-aged man with chestnut hair was sitting on the edge of the seashore, smoking leisurely. It was none other than Mont Blanc Culique. He spent his life searching for the Golden City. However, until now, he has not succeeded. Regarding the whereabouts of the Golden City, Mont Blanc Culique also believed that it had sunk to the bottom of the sea, so he often dived. But after so many years, nothing was found. But it was the rising tide here that occurred every 5 years that gave him a new guess. Perhaps the Golden Land is not in the sea, but in the sky. Are there islands in the sky? It's just Kongdao's statement. Every time Mont Blanc Culique goes to Mobu Town to inquire about it, he will be laughed at by everyone. Over time, he became a little suspicious. Is Sky Island really just a legend? But just a few days ago, he saw with his own eyes a figure flying into the sky. Yes, it just flew into the sky. Does this situation mean that there really are islands high in the sky? Otherwise, why would that figure fly straight that way? Thinking of that figure, Mont Blanc Culique fell into a daze for a moment. At this moment, 2 ape-like figures came over. Hey, what is the boss thinking? Yes, so fascinated. It was the 2 followers of Mont Blanc Culique, the ape and the orangutan. After hearing the words of the 2 men, Mont Blanc Kulikai came back to his senses. He glanced at the sky and said faintly, "I was thinking about the flying man I saw a few days ago. Do you think he went to Sky Island?" Hearing this, the ape and orangutan looked at each other. They were also deeply impressed by that figure. After all, this was the first time they saw a flying person. And that figure seems to look very similar to them. But it would be too arbitrary to say that the figure flew to the Sky Island. Apes and orangutans further believe that the golden capital is silent under the sea. And this is also the reason why they have been salvaging continuously. As for why it has not been found for so long, it is probably because the seabed has changed too much in the past 400 years. As a result, when the two of them heard this, they both shook their heads. Sky Island is just a legend. Yeah, how could there be a suspended island? But while the two were talking, suddenly, Mont Blanc Kulikai stood up in shock and dropped the cigarette from his mouth, not caring. His violent reaction caused confusion among the apes and orangutans. The two looked over subconsciously and were stunned. I saw a figure falling from the sky. Although they couldn't see clearly, the three of them were reminded of the figure from a few days ago. Is it him? That's Magic Valley Town over there. Go check it out. The three of them were stunned for a moment, and then hurried towards Mogu Town. Especially Mont Blanc Kulikai, who ran like crazy. He had a hunch that the existence of the Golden City might be known from that figure. At the same time, Magic Valley Town. The battle between BABY5 and Bellamy has entered a fever pitch. The strength of these two people is actually about the same. One has high attack and strong defense, while the other has a flexible figure. But this time, Bellamy was obviously crazy, and the hyena turned into a mad dog, completely fighting for his life. So within a short while, Baby 5 was already showing signs of failure. Ha ha ha, are Don Quixote's cadres really that strong? I don't think so. Bellamy stuck out his tongue and grinned, wildly and proudly. Buzz buzz. As soon as the words fell, Bellamy's figure started to bounce around crazily again. He has decided to take down Baby 5 completely with this blow. But at this moment, the exclamations of Sakis and others came from the side. What is that? Look at the sky. Someone fell. Bellamy was startled, raised his head suddenly, and was suddenly stunned. I saw a figure falling to the ground like a meteor. Baby 5 was also confused, she was concentrating on confronting Bellamy. But suddenly, there was an earth-shattering explosion. Boom. The entire Demon Valley town seemed to be shocked. On the ground between her and Bellamy, a huge circle of dust suddenly rose. Someone actually fell from the sky. A strong vibration came, and Baby 5 was a little unsteady. And Bellamy's ability was interrupted due to sudden changes. He stood there and looked at the smoke in confusion. Baby 5, Sakis and others were also staring over there. As the smoke dispersed, a human-shaped black hole appeared on the ground. Ha 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 ha, it really hurts. So this is what island hopping feels like. At this moment, accompanied by a burst of laughter, a white and strong palm grasped the hole. Then, a handsome face appeared. Seeing this familiar face, everyone present was stunned. Yang Hao. Baby 5 screamed in surprise first. Yes, the figure falling from the sky is none other than Yang Hao. Bellamy froze. The expressions of Sakis and others changed greatly. It turned out to be the murderous ape Yang Hao. Then their expressions turned strange. Why did Yang Hao fall from the sky? And it seems like nothing happened at all. Isn't this too exaggerated? If Sakis and others knew that Yang Hao jumped from an altitude of 10,000 meters, they would probably be even more shocked. Of course, even if they didn't know it, Yang Hao's sudden behavior made them turn pale with fright. The scene where Bellamy was knocked down by a punch a few days ago is still vivid in my mind. However, at this time, Bellamy gradually showed a sinister smile. The situation of suppressing Baby 5 allowed him to regain his confidence. He even believed that the reason why he was defeated by Yang Hao before was entirely due to carelessness. But this time, absolutely not. Spring jumper. Bellamy abandoned Baby 5 instantly and headed towards Yang Hao. The spring ability was activated, and his figure bounced around wildly, and finally reached a speed that exceeded the human body's dynamic vision. Feeling the speed at this time, Bellamy's spirits were lifted. He can feel that he seems to be much stronger now than he was a few days ago. So, fierce ape, die. However, facing Bellamy's astonishing offensive, Yang Hao ignored it. After dusting himself off, he stepped forward and walked towards Baby 5 with a smile. Are you okay? Baby 5 was about to remind Yang Hao to be careful about Bellamy, but at this moment, something shocking happened. As soon as Yang Hao left the place, Bellamy rushed towards him, but as if by coincidence, he passed by him and crashed directly into the human-shaped black hole formed by Yang Hao's impact. Boom. Sakis and others were stunned. Bella. M.I. Chapter 127. Let's go to Sky Island together. Enter Sabayati land. Bella. M.I. Sakis and others were stunned. After Bellamy crashed into the human-shaped black hole, there was no more movement. It seems like he fainted again. Of course, this is not surprising. With Bellamy's speed just now, one can imagine how powerful the impact was. It's normal to be knocked unconscious directly. So, The current situation is that Bellamy was defeated by Yang Hao again. Even this time, Yang Hao didn't even make a move. After reacting, Sakis and others looked at each other. Baby 5 was also stunned. Looking at Yang Hao, who was walking over as if nothing had happened, a strange look flashed across his pretty face. Yang Hao, on the other hand, smiled dumbly. In fact, everything was as he expected. After dealing with the matter of Kongdao, he would naturally return to Gaia. But before leaving, Yang Hao had a sudden idea of how Kaido would appear in the original novel. At that time, Kaido also jumped from an altitude of 10,000 meters, shocking Kid and the three supernovas. Yang Hao suddenly had the idea of imitating him. Of course, he wasn't trying to show off. But he wanted to see if his current physique could be like Kaido, who could jump from a height of 10,000 meters without any damage. You know, in the past few days, with Enel's cooperation, his physique has improved to a higher level due to the thunder and lightning body forging. Today's physical strength is so strong that even Yang Hao cannot imagine it. So returning to Gaia from Sky Island this time seems to be a good testing opportunity. Thinking of this, Yang Hao naturally started to imitate without saying anything. Of course, jumping from a height of 10,000 meters is a bit suicidal no matter how you look at it. So before actually implementing it, he carefully simulated it. When Yang Hao first danced, he still used the indestructible King Kong. But after simulating it several times, he discovered that there was no need to use the indestructible weapon at all. Even without activating the ape fruit ability, the physical strength alone can withstand the damage of falling from a height of 10,000 meters. Of course, just because Yang Hao was able to arrive in human form unharmed does not mean that his physique can really catch up with Kaido. After all, Kaido jumped from a height of 10,000 meters and was not injured. This cannot be directly regarded as the limit of his physical endurance. But now Yang Hao can be called a physically strong man. The physiques of ordinary ancient animal type ability users are probably far inferior to his. During the simulation, Yang Hao naturally discovered Bellamy's attack on BABY5. Only then did the scene happen where he jumped right in front of the battle scene between BABY5 and Bellamy. Where have you been? How did you fall from above? Baby 5 came back to his senses and asked curiously. Yang Hao pointed to the sky and said with a smile, I went to the empty island above. Sky Island. Hearing this, Baby 5 was shocked. She also knows about Sky Island legend. But isn't that a legend? Is it true? Does Sky Island really exist? Can you take me up there to have a look? Baby 5's beautiful eyes lit up. She knew Yang Hao could fly. Since Yang Hao said this, then this empty island probably really exists. She was immediately interested. Yang Hao shook his head. Next time, if there is a chance, now we should go back and answer the young master's orders. Well, okay. Baby 5 has no objection either. Immediately, the two people left the scene. From beginning to end, Yang Hao didn't even look at Bellamy and his group. The whole process, ignore it. After all, a supporting role of this level is no longer worth wasting any of his time. Sakis and the others were still in a daze. What are they talking about? Sky Island, isn't that a legend? Hey, could it be said that the vicious ape Yang Hao fell from the Sky Island? Sakis and others were shocked again by the information revealed in Yang Hao's words. If ordinary people said that empty islands exist, they would laugh and ridicule. But if it's Yang Hao, it's different. So, Sky Island really exists. No, now is not the time to discuss whether Sky Island exists or not. Hurry up and save Bellamy. Sakis suddenly reacted and shouted. Everyone hurriedly ran towards the humanoid black hole, scrambling to save Bellamy. It turned out that Bellamy was not knocked unconscious, but he fell into the bottom and was too embarrassed to show up again. And just as Sakis was rescuing Bellamy, three figures ran here one after another, panting. It is Mont Blanc Kulakai, as well as the apes and orangutans. Mont Blanc Kulakai took the lead and rushed to the scene. When he saw the human-shaped black hole, he was stunned and then rushed over quickly. Seeing Sakis and others rescuing Bellamy below, he joined them without even thinking. Then there are the apes and orangutans. All right. They mistook Bellamy for the figure that fell from the sky. With the help of Mont Blanc and Kulakai, Sakis and others finally rescued Bellamy, who was stuck in the hole. It's just that Bellamy was in a very bad condition after being rescued. He was lying on the ground with a bloody head, his eyes staring blankly at the sky. Let me ask you, did you fall from the sky? Is there an empty island above? Mont Blanc Kulakai didn't care so much, looked at Bellamy, and asked nervously. Both the ape and the orangutan clenched their fists. Sakis and others were stunned. How to answer this question? However, Bellamy suddenly said, Is it an empty island? I haven't been there, but someone should have been there. At the end of the sentence, Bellamy looked complicated. He was not unconscious just now, so he naturally heard what Yang Hao said. He actually came down from an empty island. Originally, Bellamy also scorned the legend of Sky Island. Just like he believed in his own power. But being defeated by Yang Hao one after another, especially this time, made Bellamy have self-doubt. Is my strength really strong? If he was very strong, how could he be defeated by that man twice in a row, and this time, it was such an almost funny defeat. So, does the fear of heights, which he always thought did not exist, really exist? Bellamy was silent. When Mont Blanc Couliquet heard Bellamy's words, he couldn't help but perked up. Really, is there really an empty island up there? He looked up at the sky, with tears in his eyes. The apes and orangutans were also very excited and suddenly suggested, "Boss, let's go to Sky Island." "Yes, didn't you say that there will be an upwelling current soon? We will ride on the upwelling current and go to Sky Island." After hearing what the two of them said, Mont Blanc Couliquet nodded heavily. After years of exploration, major clues finally emerged. Even if they knew that riding on the rising tide was very dangerous, they would not look back. But just as the three of them were excitedly preparing to leave, Bellamy's voice suddenly came. "Hey, you guys, if you want to go to Sky Island, can you take me with you?" Hearing this, Mont Blanc and Couliquet were startled. Sakis and others were stunned again. And the other side. With Gaia's affairs over, Yang Hao naturally took Baby 5 and flew back to report his death to Doflamingo. But when he was passing by the Sabayati Islands, Yang Hao suddenly changed his mind and flew towards the island group wrapped in a huge bubble. Chapter 128 Skyshell Shell Auction, Encountering Fur Tribe. "Huh, this is the Sabayati Islands. What are you doing here?" Baby 5 was suddenly called out by Yang Hao. She thought she was back in Punk Hassad, but she didn't expect that after coming out of Castle Earring, she saw an environment different from her memory. From the surrounding scenes and bubble culture, she quickly recognized where she was. This is Sabayati Islands. After recognizing it, Baby 5 couldn't help but feel a little confused. Why did Yang Hao bring her here? Hearing Baby 5's question, Yang Hao looked around with a smile. "Don't our family have an auction house here? I plan to take some things to auction." "Oh, do you have anything good?" Baby 5 asked curiously. Yang Hao smiled slightly. This time he came back from Sky Island, but he brought a lot of specialties. After all, after the system upgrade, he doesn't have much money left. Later, I asked Enel to cooperate with him in brushing lightning resistance and lightning body forging, which also cost 100 million. Currently, Yang Hao only has tens of millions left. But he didn't panic at all. Not to mention that he is getting stronger and stronger now, just because he is sitting on an empty island, he has no shortage of ways to make money. For example, selling Sky Island specialties. Speaking of Sky Island specialties, the first thing that comes to mind is naturally the various magical shellfish on Sky Island. So when Yang Hao came back this time, he brought a lot of shellfish with him. However, for these shellfish, he does not intend to develop them into commodities, but wants to take the luxury line. With this idea in mind, when Yang Hao passed by the Sabayati Islands, he suddenly changed his mind and came with Baby -5. His purpose was, of course, to auction off a batch of shells through Don Quixote's auction house, and at the same time build up the reputation of Sky Island shellfish. By then, there will be regular auctions, and Yang Hao will have a stable income. Speaking of which, there is no place more suitable than the Sabayati Islands. The scenery here is beautiful, the location is special, and it is close to the marine headquarters and the public security is good, so it has formed an abnormal prosperity. The most important thing is that nobles and celestial dragons often appear here. These are all wealthy owners. This is probably the reason why Doflamingo opened an auction here. Thinking like this, Yang Hao immediately took out some empty island shells and showed them to Baby -5. Yunbei. Fire shell. Wow, so amazing. Baby 5 soon started having fun playing. As for Yang Hao, he started to simulate. If he wants to put the empty island shells in the auction house, there should be no problem. Not to mention that he is a cadre of Don Quixote, just the rarity of the empty island shell can be directly put up for auction. Besides, there shouldn't be any danger. However, adhering to the principle of caution, Yang Hao still planned to simulate it first. Anyway, it doesn't cost much for half a day. Because you want to auction empty island shells, you take Baby 5 and fly to Area 1 where the auction house is located. Close black lens bracket. While passing through Area 8, you suddenly raised your eyebrows and saw a large number of islanders kneeling in a field below. Close black lens bracket. Looking closely, there is a figure wearing a spacesuit standing among the crowd. You suddenly understood that someone from Tianlong was passing by. Close black lens bracket. You didn't care, and you flashed across the sky with Baby -5. Close black lens bracket. When you arrive at the auction house, you and Baby 5 reveal your identities and immediately receive warm hospitality from the auction house manager. Close black lens bracket. As you might imagine, when you showed the empty shells, without any surprise, the manager immediately made the decision and put the empty shells at an auction soon. Close black lens bracket. Although it is not the finale, it is placed relatively far back. Close black lens bracket. This location can obviously fetch a high price, and the manager also made it clear that he will not charge you any handling fees. Close black lens bracket. You are naturally very satisfied, and you and BABY5 are waiting with peace of mind. Close black lens bracket. During this period, you and Baby 5 had a feast in the auction house. Close black lens bracket. Soon, the auction started. Close black lens bracket. The venue was filled with people one after another. During this period, there was a commotion, all because of the arrival of a Tianlong person. Close black lens bracket. You ignored it and sat in the corner of the venue with BABY5, becoming one of the audience. You want to see how popular Sorashima clams are. If there is something you are interested in, you don't mind taking pictures. Close black lens bracket. Of course, in your opinion, there should be nothing that interests you in the auction. After all, as far as you know, most of the auction items are slaves. Close black lens bracket. As expected, as soon as the auction started, a slave appeared on the scene. He was a man from the long-handed clan. You were not interested. Close black lens bracket. In the subsequent auction, there are also many slaves, including humans, other races, and beauties of various races. Close black lens bracket. You are still not interested, just watching the nobles and celestial dragons bidding very actively. The only thing that gives you some joy is that these guys really spend money like water. Close black lens bracket. An hour later, the auction came to an end. You and Baby 5 were both refreshed because Sorashima Kai finally appeared. Close black lens bracket. As you expected, after the host introduced various kinds of Sky Island shells, the venue became obviously lively. Even ordinary people were very interested, let alone the nobles and celestial dragons. Close black lens bracket. These empty island shells are not auctioned individually, but in sets. For example, 10 empty island shells form a set, and there are only 3 sets. You frantically set a starting price of tens of millions of belly for each set. Each time the price increase is no less than 1 million. In fact, the value of a set of empty island shells on the empty island is only a few 100,000 berry at most. Close black lens bracket. But you don't care about this. After all, this is an exclusive business, and you have the right to set your own price. And this price was obviously accepted by some people. After the host finished introducing it in detail, several businessmen soon spoke up. They all obviously saw the value in it. Close black lens bracket. But soon, their voices were suppressed by the nobles and Tianlong people. These people who regard money as money, no matter what is valuable or not, as long as it catches their eyes, money is naturally not a problem. Close black lens bracket. Ever since, under your delighted gaze, the first set of empty island shells was quickly sold for a high price of around 30 million. Close black lens bracket. 3 sets of empty island shells were sold out in the blink of an eye. One set was arbitrarily taken down by the Tianlong people, and the other 2 sets were divided up by the nobles. Ordinary people can only look at it and sigh. Close black lens bracket. 3 sets of sky shells will bring you a harvest of 100 million belly, and you can't help but smile. Close black lens bracket. When you are happy, the final lot of this auction has appeared, and it is still a slave. You originally planned to take Baby 5 away directly, but at this moment, the host's words made you suddenly look back. Close black lens bracket. You just discovered that the slave who was the final auction item turned out to be a female fur tribe. On a full moon night, a magical transformation will take place. This setting alone makes this female fur tribe a well-deserved finale. Close black lens bracket. The venue was filled with excitement. The ordinary people looked astonished. The nobles and the celestial dragons went crazy. You, who had been unmoved, also showed a strong interest. Close black lens bracket. Thinking of the transformation of the fur tribe, you suddenly have the idea of taking a photo of this fur tribe. Chapter 129 Attacking the Tianlong people, a general on vacation. Thinking of the transformation of the fur tribe, you suddenly have the idea of taking a photo of this fur tribe. It is worth mentioning that you have always known about the transformation of the fur tribe, and you also think that this is the Super Saiyan transformation that belongs to the world of pirates. It is probably the setting created by the old thief Oda based on Dragon Ball. Close black lens bracket. Originally it's nothing, but for you who have already mastered the form of the Super Saiyan God, it is of great research significance. Close black lens bracket. In fact, in the early days, when you mastered turtle-style Qigong and Wukong technique, you thought of developing your own Super Saiyan form. But at that time, you had no idea. The only way you thought of was to study similar transformations. A capable fur tribe. It's just that at that time, it was not easy to get research on the fur tribe. To a certain extent, the fur tribe was even rarer than the mermaids. Close black lens bracket. What you didn't expect is that during this auction, you unexpectedly met the fur tribe. This is an unexpected surprise. Close black lens bracket. Now, although you have mastered the Super Saiyan God form, this form is not perfect. Close black lens bracket. In your opinion, the fur tribe still has great research value for you now. With this idea, you naturally can't turn a blind eye. Close black lens bracket. But what will make you speechless next is that the starting price of this female fur tribe is 100 million Baileys, and every time the price is increased, it will be no less than 10 million Baileys. You will lose the qualification to bid before bidding a few times. Close black lens bracket. In the end, the female fur tribe, without any surprise, was photographed by the only celestial dragon in the venue for 300 million belly. Close black lens bracket. Regarding this result, You didn't say much on the surface, but the eyes you looked at that Tianlong man were full of fierceness. Close black lens bracket. You have the illusion that you have returned to the time when you first encountered the ape fruit, but you are still bound to get this kind of thing or existence that is of great benefit to you, even if the other party is a celestial dragon. In this way, the auction ended. After the Tianlong people settled the 300 million belly, surrounded by a group of bodyguards, they took the female fur tribe and left. Close black lens bracket. You let baby 5 enter the castle earring, and then follow you quietly. Close black lens bracket. The Tianlong people swaggered all the way to the dock, probably wanting to go back to the Holy Land directly. You know, if you want to take action, you must be in the Sabayati Islands. Close black lens bracket. So, on the coast, everyone avoided the Tianlong people out of fear, and only you walked past silently. Close black lens bracket. When the bodyguards of the CP department saw this, they immediately became alert and protected the Tianlong people in the middle. Close black lens bracket. What surprises you is that when this Tianlong man saw you, he shouted angrily, "It's you, you're the guy who just flew over my head." The Tianlong people directly ordered the bodyguards to kill you. Close black lens bracket. You burst out laughing. Even though you already knew the nature of the celestial dragons, you still felt dumbfounded. Without another word, you started to activate your ape abilities. Close black lens bracket. Almost at the same time, one by one, the CP bodyguards have already launched their 6 moves and are coming towards you. Close black lens bracket. You sneered, and within a moment, the last CP fell at your feet. Close black lens bracket. These CPs can't even master the 6 moves, how can they be your opponents? Close black lens bracket. Seeing this scene, the Tianlong people's originally proud expression suddenly turned into panic. Close black lens bracket. You walked over with a cold face, about to knock the celestial dragon out and take away the fur tribe, but at this moment, a lazy voice sounded. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket. Ah la la, what a coincidence. At the same time, an astonishing ice phenomenon suddenly appeared on the coast. Close black lens bracket. Click, click, the surging waves are condensed, and a figure rides a bicycle, coming from the frozen sea. Close black lens bracket. Aokiji. You raised your eyebrows, and suddenly your face changed slightly. You saw an ice crystal extending from the sea, and it hit you on the shore without stopping. Close black lens bracket. You used shave to avoid the ice crystals, but your expression became serious. Close black lens bracket. Aokiji parked his bicycle on the shore and put his hands in his pockets. Brother, can you be considerate? I am on vacation today. The Tianlong people were overjoyed and said, Aokiji, kill this guy. You ignored the Tianlong people and just looked at Aokiji with an extremely solemn expression. There is no doubt that this is another big surprise. Close black lens bracket. Of course you know that attacking the celestial dragons will lead to a blow from General Marine, but you are confident that you are fast enough. After attacking the celestial dragons, you can use the air dance to escape from the Sabayati Islands. Close black lens bracket. When the time comes, even if Kizaru attacks, I'm afraid I won't be able to find a trace of you. Close black lens bracket. But what I never expected was that I would meet a Marine general who was on vacation. Close black lens bracket. This is too unexpected. General Marine's combat power is no joke. This is Marine's highest combat power. However, when you come back to your senses, a smile slowly appears on your ferocious face. The appearance of Aokiji will indeed make your plan to steal people fail. Close black lens bracket. It is understandable that it is difficult to steal people from the hands of a Marine general, but in such a situation, isn't it a good thing? Close black lens bracket. You are suddenly interested. Now that you have used all your cards, can you match the Marine general? You are the murderous ape Yang Hao. I know you. Momosuke told me about you. But haven't you joined Don Quixote? Why are you still attacking the celestial dragons? Aokiji did not continue to attack. Looking at you a little confused. Close black lens bracket. You are too lazy to explain, and you can't explain it. Could it be that this is a simulation, and it doesn't matter how lawless you are? Haha, the corner of your mouth is slightly raised, and you attack brazenly. Close black lens bracket. The invincible Hot Wheels erupted, with a strong torrent of blue light and a sharp sound of breaking through the air, covering Aokiji's body. Close black lens bracket. With a bang, Aokiji's body was torn apart, but what exploded was not flesh and blood, but ice slag on the ground. Close black lens bracket. As the green light drained out, the ice slag piled up strangely, forming Aokiji's body again. Close black lens bracket. This is not surprising to you. It would be funny if a Marine general was so easy to deal with. Without too much hesitation, you directly entered the heart-strengthening state. Close black lens bracket. Shaved, iron, armed and domineering, you turn into an ape with steam on your body, packed with powerful power, and attack Aokiji. Close black lens bracket. Bang bang bang. Ice chips are flying everywhere, and in the blink of an eye, you have been fighting Aokiji for more than 10 rounds. Close black lens bracket. You, who have used armament hockey, are not at a disadvantage. Instead, Aokiji's freezing power begins to gradually color your body. Close black lens bracket. At first, you were like a Tyrannosaurus, attacking crazily, but soon, your attack speed slowed down. It was not because you were tired, but because the surrounding environment had melted without you realizing it, along with the ice on your body. Traces formed a frozen battlefield. Close black lens bracket. In this battlefield, Aokiji is like a fish in water, but you gradually feel the coldness and your movements become stiff. Close black lens bracket. In less than a moment, your figure suddenly froze and turned into a lifelike ice sculpture of an ape. Aokiji stood beside you, breathing frost breath. Close black lens bracket. After the simulation reached this point, the real Yonghao could not help but feel a chill in his heart. Chapter 130-129, Super Saiyan God reappears, simulation after death. Seeing this, Yonghao couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. After entering the heart strengthening, his combat power is actually very strong. But what I didn't expect was that even so, he was still suppressed by Aokiji. General Marine is really not that easy to deal with. Especially Aokiji, who also practiced warship sandbags with Garp. Not only is the Logia mage, but his melee combat ability is also first-rate. In this case, we can only fight hard. In the midst of ice crystals, your signs of life are gradually frozen. Close black lens bracket. You tried to use the armed color hockey to suppress the breakaway, but it didn't help at all. It seems that your primary armed color still has some difficulty in resisting Aokiji's freezing. Close black lens bracket. Faced with this situation, you don't panic. You have more trump cards than you imagined. Close black lens bracket. Thinking of this, your mind sinks into the castle earrings. Feeling your call, Baby 5 directly blasted out a ball of artillery fire. Close black lens bracket. With a bang, the flames exploded, and the freezing state on your body was relieved by half in an instant. Taking this opportunity, you took out a blue wave ball and stuffed it into your mouth. Close black lens bracket. Under the influence of the blue wave ball, your figure instantly skyrocketed, and in the blink of an eye, you turned into a huge golden ape of 15 meters. With a shot of the ape god's gun, Aokiji was directly knocked away. Facing the huge power you exploded at this time, even Aokiji had a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth after he stabilized his figure. Close black lens bracket. Next, you try your best to output the terrifying power. Even Aokiji cannot compete head-on, and can only use the freezing slowness from the side. Close black lens bracket. What an amazing transformation. This shouldn't be an awakening, right? What is this? Aokiji was surprised by your monster's enhanced form and asked during the battle. Close black lens bracket. You didn't pay attention, but output like crazy. After all, the monster's enhanced form can only last for 3 minutes. Close black lens bracket. However, even if your power barely exceeds Aokiji, how can you defeat a marine general in 3 minutes, especially a frozen fruit user like Aokiji who is very good at fighting protracted battles? Close black lens bracket. Ever since, 3 minutes later, you fell into weakness, and Aokiji once again found the opportunity and froze into a ball. Close black lens bracket. This time, Aokiji seems not to give you a chance. After giving you a freezing hug, he never let go. The terrifying freezing energy continues to attack you. Close black lens bracket. Your body stiffens instantly, and even your thinking is gradually affected. Close black lens bracket. Brain strengthening. At this time, you used brain strengthening to protect your thinking. After all, if your thinking is frozen, you will completely lose. Close black lens bracket. Of course, the current situation is also very difficult, but you still have a trump card. Close black lens bracket. That is the Super Saiyan God form that you just realized not long ago. Now that even monster enhancements are no match for Aokiji, it is natural to reveal this trump card. Thinking of this, you started to activate your power without any hesitation. Close black lens bracket. A look of surprise quickly appeared on Aokiji's face. He was surprised to see that your body surface in his arms seemed to be cracked when he continued to deliver freezing energy from a distance. Close black lens bracket. Boom. At this moment, a more violent movement occurred than before. The ice crystals on your body burst open instantly, and a wave of air swept out, even pushing Aokiji away. Close black lens bracket. Aokiji stood still, looking at you with some surprise as he came out of the ice. Close black lens bracket. At this time, your whole body is surging with golden energy, and your raised hair and eyebrows have turned into a golden color. You look extremely amazing. What is this? It's not awakening. Aokiji was surprised again. He was quite familiar with the awakening of the animal fruit's ability, but at this time, you still showed no signs of awakening, but this is comparable to awakening. What's going on with this amazing phenomenon? You still didn't bother to explain. Your cold face grinned slightly and disappeared. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket shave, close black lens bracket. Even if it is just an ordinary shave, the speed has increased several times. Close black lens bracket. Aokiji seemed to have been punched through his body by you before he could react. Close black lens bracket. But the pierced Aokiji's body quickly turned into ice crystals, and the surface of your fist was covered with ice. Close black lens bracket. You raised your eyebrows slightly, and the armed domineering energy on the surface of your fist firmly resisted the ice, and the air waves lingering around you suddenly burst the ice crystals that Aokiji had formed. Then, you suddenly disappeared in place, avoided 2 ice spears shot from the side. Close black lens bracket. Boom boom boom. You were so elusive that you quickly approached the real Aokiji and launched a terrifying offensive. Close black lens bracket. Even Aokiji, a marine general, is losing ground when facing you in Super Saiyan God form. Aokiji's face became extremely solemn. In a daze, he seemed to be facing you again, who was strengthened by a monster. But compared to the giant size, you are more flexible, fierce and invulnerable at this time. Close black lens bracket. And you suddenly realize that this Super Saiyan ape God form may be equivalent to a smaller version of the monster's enhancement. Although the size is reduced, the power is not reduced at all, and because the body is familiar and the power is concentrated, it can be exerted expose a stronger power than monster reinforcements. Close black lens bracket. Aware of this, you are greatly excited. If this is the case, then this Super Sailor Ape God form should be the same as the monster strengthening, and can be gradually controlled and normalized. However, at this time, you have not found a way yet. But it does not affect the performance in simulation. Close black lens bracket. Just like the monster enhanced form, the Super Saiyan God form is also super powerful, but if you want to completely defeat Aokiji, there is still no way to do it. Close black lens bracket. So, after your strong attack, Aokiji was injured, but your condition gradually weakened, and the golden air waves lingering around you gradually shrank until they disappeared. Close black lens bracket. The Super Saiyan Ape God form obviously won't last long. In about 3 to 5 minutes, you will completely return to your human form and enter a state of complete weakness. In this state, you can't even use your abilities. Close black lens bracket. The final result is that you were frozen into an ice sculpture by Aokiji, and your breath of life was completely cut off. Close black lens bracket. Not bad. Seeing this, Yang Hao nodded secretly. In fact, he was very satisfied to be able to fight Aokiji to this extent. Judging from the content of this simulation, when he uses all his cards, he can already compete with the generals. Of course, in order to truly achieve the combat power of a general, his abilities in all aspects must be improved. Probably every one of these top warriors in the pirate world is a hexagonal warrior. Yang Hao is only powerful, but cannot keep up with the rhythm in other aspects, and he will still end up defeated. However, it is no exaggeration to say that he is infinitely close to the general's combat power now. Thinking this way, Yang Hao smiled. Next, now that you have died, you should end the simulation. But at this time, Yang Hao's heart moved, and he wanted to see the world after his death. When he died at the hands of Aokiji, how would those people react? And it seems good to take this opportunity to study this function. Thinking of this, Yang Hao immediately decided to continue the simulation. Chapter 131 Yang Hao's death. They were just using each other. Yang Hao's expression condensed. In the end, he died in the hands of Aokiji. However, Yang Hao was not surprised by this. His current all-out combat power may have reached the level of a general, but it will not last long. Now think about it, every top powerhouse in the pirate world seems to be a hexagonal warrior. Kaido, Big Mom, Akainu, Aokiji. To put it simply, they have almost no weaknesses. But now Yang Hao is still almost interested. Unless, he can completely control the monster enhancement, or greatly extend the time of Super Saiyan God form. In this way, he can truly compete with the top experts. But to be honest, Yang Hao was actually quite satisfied with such results. The fact that he was able to injure Aokiji once meant that he was not completely defenseless against General Marine. It was this time that he deliberately fought to the death with Aokiji in the simulation. Otherwise, he could have easily escaped. Even if Aokiji tried to keep him, he probably wouldn't be able to do anything about it. With such power, not to mention being able to completely navigate the sea, but in the new world, it can be considered to be completely successful. As long as he doesn't seek death like this simulation, his life will hardly be in danger. Realizing this, Yang Hao was naturally in a good mood. But this time, after he died in the simulation still did not end. Yang Hao's heart moved and he immediately decided to continue the simulation. First, we can see what impact his death will have. Secondly, you can also take the opportunity to study this function. To be honest, Yang Hao really hasn't figured out what the role of post-mortem simulation is. After you died, the celestial dragons wanted to smash you to pieces and scatter your bones into ashes, but Aokiji ignored it and took your body away and buried it properly. Close black lens bracket. You were buried on a small island not far from the Sabayati Islands. After Aokiji left, the place where you were buried suddenly exploded. Close black lens bracket. Boom. Thunder, lightning and flames rise together. Close black lens bracket. It turned out to be Baby 5 and Enel in the castle earrings. They sensed something was wrong and worked together to blow up the castle and escape from it. Close black lens bracket. The items in the castle suddenly appeared on the spot, but neither of them paid attention to them, just staring at your body. Close black lens bracket. Soon, Baby 5 began to cry loudly, while Enel looked excited. Close black lens bracket. Without any sadness, Enel left directly with the Ark's proverbs, while Baby 5 reburied your body and then contacted Doflamingo. Close black lens bracket. Soon, Baby 5 contacted Doflamingo. Close black lens bracket. Doflamingo is not surprised by your death, because Marine has already notified the family of your death. Close black lens bracket. Doflamingo, as the 7 warlords of the sea, has an alliance with Marine. Close black lens bracket. But because of your actions, the relationship between the Don Quixote family and Marine has become tense. The most important thing is that the celestial dragon has already complained to the world government. Close black lens bracket. Doflamingo was obviously very dissatisfied with this situation, so after Baby 5 called, he did not express any intention to avenge you. He even planned to publish a newspaper stating that you would be expelled from the family after your death to eliminate the problem. The negative impact of the attack on the Tianlong people. Close black lens bracket. After listening to Doflamingo's words, Baby 5 was heartbroken and left Don Quixote directly, embarking on the road of revenge alone. Close black lens bracket. The rest of Don Quixote reacted indifferently to this matter. Only Cesar Current and Violet felt a little sorry for your death. Close black lens bracket. The simulation is over. This time, benign changes are obtained, 1 combat experience, malignant changes are eliminated, and 1 frostbite is obtained. Close black lens bracket. Yang Hao didn't simulate for long, it only lasted a few days. Because he felt that there was no need to continue the simulation. It is foreseeable that Baby 5 will definitely lose his life because of revenge for him. Although Baby 5 has some potential, it is more difficult to avenge him than to reach the sky. Needless to say, Aokiji. It is also very difficult to deal with the Tianlong people. However, Baby 5's reaction was not in vain. At least, her status in Yang Hao's heart has skyrocketed. Needless to say, Enel relied on force to threaten the other party into submission. His existence may be the same as Bellamy, who joined the family 2 years later in the original work. Yang Hao laughed and started simulating again. No matter what happens, he can run to the sea. If it loses value, it can be easily discarded, and even after death, it will not mind stepping on it. Now that everyone else is gone, of course Enel can no longer work for him, let alone take revenge. Even if Aokiji knows moonwalk, he will never be able to catch up with him who masters the dance of the sky. But in the future, haha. But soon, Yang Hao discovered that besides escaping, there seemed to be a better way. In this case, there is no need for Yang Hao to be too polite. But if we can't do the above, we should at least bury them properly, hold a memorial service or something, right? Even if his ideal is to overthrow the world government and break the celestial dragon's rule over the world. But recently Doflamingo has been providing him with a large number of Baileys for research, which makes Yang Hao feel a little embarrassed. After all, he is also a cadre. Now that he knows Aokiji's existence this time, he can completely avoid it. Is it appropriate to remain so indifferent even after the cadre died? To put it bluntly, everyone is using each other and getting what they need. As he said before, if he didn't fight to the death, with his ability, he could easily escape. To be honest. In fact, when he developed, the first force he wanted to annex was the Don Quixote family. As long as he takes over this family, he will definitely earn much more money than if he unified West Blue. As for Aokiji, it goes without saying that it is even stronger. Yang Hao certainly didn't expect that Doflamingo would avenge himself. But before, Yang Hao couldn't defeat Doflamingo, so he chose to become the opponent's cadre first. But at this stage, he would never do this for Yang Hao. It has a certain use value, but after it loses its use value, it is useless, and people may even be sent to send it away in person. Yang Hao suddenly discovered that this after-death simulation still had some effect. In other words, Doflamingo didn't treat him as a family member at all. It was the reaction of Doflamingo and others that made him feel a little chilled. At least it can be used to test the loyalty and attitude of those around you. But knowing that such a situation actually happened, Yang Hao could not help but feel a little chilled. If Doflamingo had the ability to deal with a marine general like Aokiji, he wouldn't be coerced by Kaido. But now the content of the simulation after death made him truly understand that from beginning to end, Doflamingo regarded it as an object of use. Anyway, he didn't expect to get along well with Doflamingo. Of course, Yang Hao also knew that as a cadre, he was not taken seriously by Doflamingo. Chapter 132 Equivalent Exchange, Intercepting the Fur Tribe. Real World. Sabayati Islands. Yang Hao took Baby 5 to the auction house in Area 1. It turns out to be 2 cadres. Welcome. When they arrived, Yang Hao and Baby 5 received a warm reception without any surprise. A shrewd-looking man came over. This is the manager of the auction house, named Didia. I wonder what the important business of the 2 adults is here. After serving tea, Didia asked about the purpose of Yang Hao and Baby -5. He didn't get any information about the arrival of these two people in advance. Baby 5 looked at Yang Hao. Yang Hao smiled and took out a set of empty island shells. That's right, I have some treasures that I want to auction here. Just like in the simulation, after hearing this, Didier readily agreed. This is no problem, but what is this? As a leader of the Don Quixote family, it is certainly not a problem to put something up for auction in this auction house. But after saying this, Didier looked at Sorashima Bay and became confused. Shell, is there anything special about this? Or is there a luminous pearl hidden inside? Baby 5 quickly volunteered. I'll come. With that said, she took the empty island shell from Yang Hao's hand and began to display it. Flames, white clouds, strong winds, images. After the display, Didier's eyes lit up. What a good thing. In reality, other situations will be different from the simulation for various reasons. But some established facts cannot be changed. For example, the value of empty island shellfish. Anyone would understand the great value of such a unique shellfish. Didier still asked Yang Hao for his opinion on the starting price for a set of empty island shells. After all, this was the first time he encountered such a treasure, and it was brought out by Yang Hao. Yang Hao did not change and still quoted a price of 10 million Baileys. Didier nodded without thinking too much. The price is okay. Based on his experience, it should be possible to sell a set of empty island shells for tens of millions of Bellyrys. Especially in the Sabayati Islands. Those nobles and celestial dragons don't regard money as their master. As long as something is strange enough, they are absolutely willing to spend money. Of course, if the starting price is 100 million, it would be too exaggerated, and even the Tianlong people might not be able to withstand it. But if it's 10 million, it's totally fine. In Didier's opinion, this empty island shell will never fail to be auctioned. Maybe, because of Kong Dao Bay, the reputation of their auction house will expand a bit. Originally he was just doing Yang Hao a favor, but now Didier felt that Yang Hao was doing them a favor. So he smiled and said, Mr. Yang Hao, this is no problem. I will give you all the money from the photo without charging you any handling fees. You know, if most people want to put things up for auction in the auction house, they have to pay two fees. One is the listing fee, which means the cost of putting things up. This fee must be paid regardless of whether there is an unsold auction or not. Of course, if something is not rare enough, you won't be able to pay for it. After the auction is successful, another fee will be paid. This fee is called the auction commission, which is a commission of 3% of the final auction price. Didier's words were equivalent to saving Yang Hao millions of belly. After saying that, Didier took the empty island shells given by Yang Hao and prepared to make arrangements. But at this moment, Yang Hao grabbed Didier. Mr. Yang Hao, is there anything else? Didier looked at Yang Hao in surprise. Yang Hao smiled. Don't be so anxious, I really have something to discuss with you. What's the matter? It's about the finale of the next auction. Is it a fur tribe? Hearing this, Didier was very surprised. How do you know? Baby 5 was also confused. Yang Hao had a mysterious smile on his face. Let me take this fur tribe away. What? No. When Didier heard this, she immediately shook her head like a rattle. Are you kidding? Even if Yang Hao is a Don Quixote cadre, it won't work. The finale lot is the most important thing in an auction. If the grand finale fails to create a buzz, the appeal of the next auction will be greatly diminished. In fact, the reason is very simple. Forget about other things in an auction, if even the grand finale is so rubbish, who will want to come next time? So this time the fur tribe is the lifeblood of the auction. How could Didier agree to Yang Hao's request? Baby 5 is still very confused, not knowing where Yang Hao heard the information about the fur tribe, let alone why he asked for this fur tribe. At this time, Yang Hao was still smiling. When he came to the auction house in reality, he naturally not only simulated it once before, but simulated it many times. Since the fur tribe is for research, and since it is barely an equivalent exchange, Doflamingo naturally has no reason to refuse. That is to ask the manager directly. In the castle earrings, in addition to Baby 5 and Enel, there is also a fur tribe. When it comes to human body studies and so on, I guess I will have to ask Caesar Current for help. According to the price he had previously auctioned in the simulation, the value of 10 sets of empty island shells was already equivalent to that of this fur tribe. And in the end, Doflamingo agreed. After a while, Didier came back with a relaxed look. The boss agreed, I will take you to find the fur tribe. That's right, just ask for it directly. Because this scene also happened in the simulation. The situation when Didier reported to Doflamingo was not beyond his expectation. After a while, so it's not a good time to fall out with Doflamingo. Compared to snatching it from the hands of the Tianlong people, this situation is naturally countless times better. After all, Doflamingo is still very supportive of his research. After no longer fighting to the death with Aokiji, he set his simulation goal on how to obtain fur tribe. After all, as a cadre of the Don Quixote family, he still has some face. The auction house's guarding power could not stop him from robbing the fur tribe. One is direct robbery. It's obviously not difficult to do this. Through simulation, Yang Hao found two ways to succeed. Ever since, after hearing Yang Hao's exchange of words, Didier's expression finally softened a lot. In this way, it makes sense. But at present, Yang Hao still needs to rely on Caesar Current's scientific power, especially after grabbing the Fur tribe. Sure enough, after achieving his goal, Yang Hao flew away again. Even if Doflamingo found out later, he would just fall out with him. Baby 5 was confused the whole time. But before leaving the Sabayati Islands, he suddenly flew towards the coast where the Draco ships were. The best thing is that these empty island shells can barely be used as the finale. Yang Hao smiled. Go ahead, go ahead. When the time comes, you can tell me that I want fur tribes for research purposes. But he hesitated for a moment and said, I have to report to the boss. Of course, Yang Hao didn't ask for it for nothing, but instead offered 10 sets of empty island shells in exchange. Yang Hao nodded with a smile. The second method is very suitable. Chapter 133 Robbery of the Tianlong People. Turtle sect Qigong from thousands of meters away. After intercepting the Fur tribe, Yang Hao left directly. It is worth mentioning that, except for the 10 sets of empty island shells that he exchanged with the Fur tribe, he still kept all the remaining empty island shells on hand and asked the other party to auction them off bit by bit, and then pay them back later. The experience in the simulation has proven that Kongdao Bay is very popular and can be developed into a profitable business. As long as the transportation problem is solved, funds can be continuously provided to him. However, he has no clue about this problem at the moment, so he can only sell the empty island shells he has on hand and get a sum of money to solve the urgent need. After doing this, Yang Hao should naturally leave. But before leaving, he suddenly flew towards the coast where the Tianlong ship was staying. The strong wind blew against his face, and there was a smile on Yang Hao's handsome face. Dragon people, hee. Yang Hao has not completely forgotten the content of the first simulation. Because of the Tianlong people, he died. Although the person who did it was Aokiji, the source was obviously the celestial dragon. In this case, Yang Hao will naturally not let the other party go easily. Although you can't kill that guy, it's okay to rob him and collect some interest first, right? This has been verified through simulation. So now, Yang Hao has personally taken action in the past and officially robbed the Tianlong ships in reality. Thinking of that guy's wealth, Yang Hao smiled even more. Another moment passed. Yang Hao arrived at that coast. Without another word, he landed and sank directly into the sea. With a splash, Yang Hao's figure quickly disappeared into the seabed like a fish. Yang Hao has long been familiar with situations similar to sneak attacks. Not to mention it has been simulated in advance. There are still a large number of personnel on board the Tianlong people's ships to guard them, but they are not too powerful. Just like that, in a short while, Yang Hao dived to the bottom of the Tianlong ship. Looking at the bottom of the cabin above his head, he didn't hesitate and just blasted out with a palm. The 6 movements of mysteries burst out, and a shock wave suddenly emerged. There was a bang in the bottom of the sea. A hole as big as one person suddenly opened at the bottom of the cabin, and Yang Hao got directly in. The next moment, his vision changed drastically, and Yang Hao came to the dark bottom. At this time, he had silently activated his ape ability and transformed into a human animal form. At the same time, the eyes are strengthened, the nose is strengthened, and the domineering power of sight, hearing, color are fully opened. Under the powerful induction, he quickly discovered the sound of violent footsteps coming from around him, accompanied by a large amount of life breath approaching. He knew that the cabin was damaged, which alerted people nearby and came to check. Yang Hao didn't say anything. He narrowed his eyes and moved in one of the directions. A figure in a black suit soon appeared in his sight. Who are you? Seeing Yang Hao, who was half human and half ape, the CP in black suit gave a low drink. Shave, point to the gun. He moved faster and disappeared in a flash, and a hard finger thrust towards Yang Hao's shoulder. Yang Hao seemed unable to react and was directly hit by the opponent's finger. But the next second, the CP in the black suit's expression changed drastically, and he suddenly retracted his broken finger. Yang Hao chuckled, punched the opponent's head, and then disappeared. What follows is mostly the same. The CPs who met Yang Hao were all killed by him face to face. The movement attracted more people, but they couldn't stop Yang Hao at all. After a while, Yang Hao went straight to the ship's property room. Although he had seen it once in the simulation, his eyes lit up when he saw the mountains of belongings inside. It's all mine now. Collect it. Yang Hao mobilized the castle earrings and swallowed up all the property on the ground as if swallowing it. In less than 2 minutes, he knocked open the belongings room and exited the cabin again. More CPs came, but Yang Hao refused to accompany them. He laughed, blew up one side of the cabin, and left the ship with a bang. Immediately afterwards, he did not fall into the sea, but performed the air dance technique and flew away in midair. One CP wanted to use moonwalk to catch up, but in the blink of an eye, Yang Hao turned into a small black dot. How to chase? Helpless, the CPs had no choice but to turn back. The cabin was broken, seawater poured in, and they had to rush to rescue. The scene was chaotic. Yang Hao, on the other hand, was already leisurely staying in midair several thousand meters away. Probably no one is chasing us, Yang Hao murmured after taking a look at the empty space behind him. But this matter is not over yet. Although they did not take action against the Tianlong people, they only plundered their ships. But with the tyranny of the Tianlong people, they will definitely not give up in the future. This point can be inferred even if Yang Hao does not continue the simulation. In order to avoid being troubled by the Tianlong people, he had to cover up the matter. But even though he was very careful just now, he was definitely still seen. His ape ability is not difficult to recognize. So, what should be done? Thinking of this, a cold look flashed across Yang Hao's face. Of course, destroy the corpse and eliminate all traces. As long as the Tianlong people don't know the murderer who robbed the ship, that will be fine. Even if they investigate specifically later, it will definitely take a lot of time. By that time, he will probably have the power to truly rival General Marine. Naturally, there is no need to worry about the other party causing trouble. Thinking of this, Yang Hao began to mobilize his breath. The various forces in the body began to condense and compress under the action of Dwang Fist. Yang Hao faced the direction of the Tianlong ship and slowly closed his palms. There is no doubt that this is the starting point of turtle-style Qigong. Speaking of which, the turtle-style Qigong actually has many limitations. High consumption is a problem. Charging time is also a big issue. This resulted in that in a fierce battle, there was no chance to use this move. Even if it was used, it would not hit the target. Just like the fierce battle with Aokiji in the simulation before. It is impossible for Aokiji to charge him for such a long time, and even if he was given time to charge, he would not be able to hit the defensive opponent with turtle-style Qigong. This would be a bit embarrassing. However, at certain times, turtle-style Qigong is still very useful. Just like this moment, Yang Hao planned to use the turtle-style Qigong to destroy all the Tianlong ships, including the people and the ships. The power within the body has reached its extreme. Yang Hao didn't say anything and started to use the 6 secret techniques. Turtle, Hai, Qi, Gong. Following a loud shout, Yang Hao pushed his palms forward slowly. At this moment, a huge white shock wave burst out from between his palms. Buzz. The air vibrates. Blurred and distorted. The white shock wave that made the air unable to withstand the power shot out wildly. Even though Yang Hao's position at this time was more than 10 meters away from the sea below, the overflowing fluctuations still caused the sea below to separate to both sides, forming an astonishing penetrating track. And in midair, a white pillar passed across the sky, spanning a distance of several thousand meters in an instant. Here, the people on the Tianlong ship were still making repairs, but they suddenly encountered a disaster. The white shock wave from the sky exploded the ship in an instant, and the earth-shattering sound suddenly drowned out the screams of the people on the ship. Rumble. The explosion gradually became lower. After more than 10 seconds, there were no more magnificent Tianlong ships on the scene. Only wreckage was left on the ground, silently recounting the tragedy just now. Soon, the news that the celestial dragon ship was destroyed caused alarm in all directions. Chapter 134 The Celestial Dragon Shipwreck Incident, Plundering. The sea near the Sabayati Islands. A leisurely figure is riding a bicycle on the sea. Wherever the bicycle passed, an ice path appeared on the sea surface, which looked extremely strange. There is no doubt that this person is Aokiji. Aokiji rarely has a day off these 2 days, so he plans to come to the Sabayati Islands to relax. Just when he was about to reach the Sabayati Islands, Aokiji suddenly started and stopped. Kaka. Under him, a piece of ice crystal spread, holding him and the bicycle firmly. Aokiji suddenly looked in the direction of the Sabayati Islands, his lazy expression gradually becoming serious. On the horizon there, a white pillar suddenly appeared, stretching across the sky. The terrifying fluctuations made Aokiji feel trembling. Hey, who is this strong man doing this? Such power is no joke. Optimus White Pillar appeared quickly and disappeared even faster, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. But Aokiji knew that things would not be that simple. It seems that today's vacation is in vain. Shaking his head, Aokiji suddenly abandoned his bicycle and quickly headed towards the Sabayati Islands. An hour later, Aokiji arrived at the location where the white shock wave landed. This is a coast of the Sabayati Islands. However, the coast at this time has been blocked by a large number of marines. Next to the blockade, there was another Tianlong man, surrounded by bodyguards, shouting. What do you do for food? Such a big ship will be gone at the last minute. There is still a lot of money up there, and that money can even buy your lives. Find me the murderer quickly. If you can't find the murderer, just go and die. Aokiji listened to the celestial dragon's jump, his eyes flashed, and he approached the blockade. A marine was about to stop him, but suddenly he was startled, and then he saluted with a change of expression. General Kuzan. Upon hearing this, the surrounding marines suddenly took a breath and saluted. Aokiji nodded. The dispatch speed of these marines is still very good. He happened to see it and rushed over quickly, but he didn't expect these marines to be one step ahead of him. What happened? Is it related to the celestial dragons? Aokiji glanced at the celestial dragon not far away and asked. The marine immediately Kaido. It seems that the Tianlong people's ship was destroyed, and Lieutenant General Gion was there to assist the CP's people in the investigation. Hearing this, Aokiji nodded again. Although Marine also has an intelligence department, its scale is not as large as that of world government's CP. And if it concerns the Tianlong people, CP will definitely not remain indifferent. At this moment, a female marine swordsman with mature charm and black hair strode over. None other than Momosuke. General Kuzan, aren't you on vacation? Why are you here? Seeing Aokiji, Momosuke also saluted quickly and then asked with some doubts. Aokiji waved his hand. I happened to be nearby, so I came over to see what happened. Compared to the guarding marines, Momosuke would naturally know the situation better. Immediately, she took the initiative to introduce the situation to Aokiji. Aokiji soon understood. It's like this. It turned out that the Tianlong people's ship was completely destroyed. No one left on the ship survived. And what caused this situation, after investigation, was the white shock wave that flashed in midair before. In fact, not to mention the ships, even the coast was severely damaged. Aokiji saw this clearly when he followed Momosuke to the coast where the incident occurred. But as for the murderer, they have no clue yet. Even the CP department did not identify the suspect for a while. After all, such tricks are blank in their intelligence. So what they can do now is to block the Sabayati Islands and investigate them one by one. Especially those pirates. When Momosuke reported, he had already arranged for someone to do it. Aokiji heard this and didn't think there was anything wrong. This is a normal way to deal with it. These are the only two possible murderers who caused the destruction of the Tianlong ship. And another portion. That guy is so angry right now. If they, Marine, don't do anything, the other guy will definitely get even crazier. Originally, the ship was destroyed, which was simply the most common thing on the sea, but it was different when it concerned the celestial dragons. The moment Momosuke saw this old man, his pupils shrank. If the murderer can't fly, it's very likely that he's still on the island. This movement is not small. There may be witnesses at the scene. If we look at it from this point of view, then the chance that the opponent will stay in the Sabayati Islands and wait for them to catch them becomes very low. Now that the ship is destroyed, doesn't it mean that the Tianlong people have lost face? Who is so bold? In this case, the possibility of the other party mastering the ability to fly is very high. All because the angle of the shock wave he saw before seemed to be sloping down from a distance. And the next few days. However, Momosuke found some clues from the population flow. Hearing this, Aokiji expressed his understanding. Okay, General Kuzan, because sometimes, he also has to deal with these celestial dragon fools. One of them is none other than Vicious Ape, Yang Hao, who came to the Sabayati Islands a few days ago and left quickly. The news that the Tianlong people were in the Sabayati Islands and that their ships were completely destroyed spread quickly. Soon, two pieces of information were placed in front of Momosuke. Momosuke naturally has no objection. Aokiji is not just speculating. In other words, the murderer should be at a certain height. The other thing is to check what powerful people have come to the Sabayati Islands recently. Maybe there is information we want among them. Because currently on the Sabayati Islands, not even a single pirate with a bounty of 100 million can be found. How can there be such a strong man who can destroy a ship with one strike? The most likely possibility is that it is in a suspended state. But he was an old man wearing glasses and looking gentle and elegant. Just thinking of this, Aokiji put forward his own idea. Gion, someone who can launch such an attack is not simple. Do you think he can moonwalk, or even fly directly? To a certain extent, the ships of the celestial dragons are equivalent to the celestial dragon's face. Aokiji then gave his advice. It's okay to blockade the island, but try not to affect the lives of the islanders. In addition, spread this message and offer a reward for clues. After all, it was less than an hour before the white shock wave destroyed the ship. Hearing Aokiji's analysis, Momosuke also nodded, with a hint of helplessness on his pretty face. I also know that there is a high probability that this is useless, but the guy outside is very dissatisfied, and we must take some measures to calm him down. Quote. Plundering. Really. That's all. This news even appeared in the newspapers. Through investigation, Momosuke soon discovered that among the pirates left on the island, there was probably no murderer. Chapter 135 Aokiji vs. Rayleigh. Momosuke looks for Yang Hao. Plundering. Rayleigh. Momosuke looked at the information in his hand in disbelief. This person is One Piece's right hand. Open black lens bracket Plundering close black lens bracket Rayleigh. What's going on? Why did you find such a big shot? Momosuke carefully looked at the information in his hand and discovered the reason. It turned out that when they conducted population checks, they also investigated the places where the Tianlong people had been. After all, the destruction of the celestial dragon's ship might have been caused not by the ship, but by the celestial dragons. In this case, we have to see if the Tianlong people have any grudges with anyone in the Sabayati Islands. To investigate this, it is natural to investigate the places where the Tianlong people have been. Among them, the auction house is the focus of investigation. As a result, Rayleigh was found here. In addition, there was Yang Hao. Yang Hao even left the island in the first step, but the destruction of the Tianlong ship happened in the second step. Yang Hao's suspicion is still quite high. But in comparison, Rayleigh is obviously bigger. All because although Yang Hao was offered a bounty of 100 million Baileys, he had never shown the power to destroy a ship with one strike before. Momosuke had played against him not long ago, so he confirmed this. In such a short period of time, it is impossible for him to make such terrifying progress. But Rayleigh is different. This is One Piece's right hand. It may be difficult to destroy the island with one blow. But it is absolutely possible to destroy a ship with one strike, even very easily. So, did the celestial dragons offend Rayleigh, causing this big shot to secretly fight back? Destroying the ship was just a warning to the Tianlong people. Thinking of this, Momosuke began to sweat on his forehead. If Rayleigh really kills a celestial dragon, I'm afraid there will be another war in the Sabayati Islands. And aside from Rayleigh's power, his identity is also very sensitive. If Marine takes action against Rayleigh, will it cause the disappeared One Piece crew to become active again? And there is Red Hair. Don't forget, he is also a crew member of One Piece. If something happens to Rayleigh, what will he do as a Four Emperors member? All the possible consequences gave Momosuke a headache. She immediately understood that this was not a situation she could handle. It's time to report to the top. Marine Headquarters. Fleet Admiral Office. Sengoku turned on the phone bug and saw an image similar to Momosuke, and immediately asked, Gion, what's going on? Have you found the suspect? Momosuke went to the scene before, and despite receiving instructions from Aokiji, he naturally reported the matter to the Marine Fleet Admiral of Sengoku. Because it concerns the Tianlong people, the Warring States period has always been concerned about it. Now receiving a call from Momosuke, Sengoku immediately realized that the situation was tense. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, through searches, one has identified 2 suspects, but I have not launched an arrest operation yet. Because of these 2 people, one is Yang Hao, the fierce ape, and the other is Plundering, Rayleigh. What? Soon, Warring States' expression changed drastically. At first, he could barely keep calm when he heard Yang Hao, but when he heard Rayleigh's name at the end, he couldn't hold it any longer. There is no way, Rayleigh's identity is really too sensitive. As the Marine Fleet Admiral, and also known as the Wise General, Sengoku immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. No wonder Momosuke didn't launch an arrest operation directly. Because the identities of these 2 people are very special. Especially Rayleigh, this is not something they can catch if they want. It's not an exaggeration to describe it as pulling the whole body together. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, what to do now? Following the phone bug, Momosuke can also feel the struggle of Sengoku. Warring States frowned and began to ponder. In fact, he didn't want to move either of these 2 people. One is the right hand of One Piece. Dealing with him may cause the One Piece crew to become active again. One is the cadres under 7 warlords of the sea. If there is a conflict, it will also affect the 7 warlords of the sea system. But not moving. It is absolutely unjustifiable if there is no explanation regarding the Tianlong people. In this world, the most noble people are the Tianlong people, and their status cannot be offended. If there was no explanation from his side, the call from 5 elders might come to him in the next moment. Faced with such a situation, the Warring States period also felt great pressure. He even thought about whether to find a scapegoat and leave it to the Tianlong people. But this idea only flashed through his mind and was rejected by him. That Tianlong man may be a fool and a loser, but the CP department is not. They can investigate it, and the CP department will most likely investigate it. Anyway, that guy Doflamingo has a criminal record. But if time goes by, this matter may not be forgotten. Aokiji sat in front of the bar, but his face turned to the corner. Vicious ape, I made you run away last time, let's see how you run away this time. And soon, Aokiji came to the Sabayati Islands again. Hearing Sengoku's words, Momosuke suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't want to face Rayleigh, but she wanted to deal with Yang Hao. And the other side. But for the specific details, let's first look at the attitude of the world government. Sure, now there is an additional charge of robbing Tianlong people, which seems to be nothing. But this time, even Doflamingo can't protect him, can he? Although the Tianlong shipwreck incident was said to be of a bad nature. There was an elegant old man with white hair and beard, smiling. After ending the phone call, Momosuke quickly took Marine out to sea and went directly to Yang Hao. Thinking about it during the Warring States period, this method seems to be possible. So, what to do? Ah la la, can you buy me a drink, Pluden? Rayleigh. But for now, let's do this. This arrangement of the Warring States period really suits Momosuke's liking. It would be great if Aokiji could take over. After arriving here, he quickly came to Shaki's rip-off bar. To be honest, Sengoku really didn't think of a good way, so he could only express Marine's attitude first. She didn't want to face Rayleigh. After thinking for a long time, Sengoku said to Momosuke Kaido, Gion, I will let Aokiji go over. For Rayleigh, Let him test it first. That guy Rayleigh has disappeared for so many years, so he shouldn't do anything. Something that could be exposed. Thinking of that ape-like figure, Momosegi's pretty face showed a hint of coldness. If it really doesn't work, just leave it to Yang Hao. Doflamingo's phone number quickly reached Yang Hao. His 7 warlords of the sea position was also taken by threatening the celestial dragons. If we really get to the bottom of it, we must give an explanation. But this time, he came wearing a marine uniform and a cloak of justice. The best thing is that because he is a former celestial dragon, even if the celestial dragons are dissatisfied with Doflamingo, they will never pursue it too closely. As for the murderous ape Yang Hao, go look for him and contact him personally to see if you can be sure it's him. Last time, Yang Hao used his identity as Doflamingo to escape. Chapter 136 Momosegi attacks again. Double surprise. When Doflamingo called, Yang Hao had not returned to Punk Hassad. Bulu bulu. Bulu bulu. Feeling the phone bug ringing in the castle earring, Yang Hao immediately took it out and connected it. The phone bug soon turned into a sinister person wearing sunglasses. Yang Hao, what exactly did you do in Sabayati? Hearing this, Yang Hao raised his eyebrows and said in a confused tone, "What's wrong, young master?" After I exchanged the Sky Island shell for that fur tribe, I left directly. In fact, Doflamingo called suddenly and he already knew the reason. Most likely, it was his whereabouts that were discovered. No wonder. After all, the destruction of the celestial dragon ship is no small matter. The entire Sabayati Islands will probably be investigated by Marine and CP. He had been to the Sabayati Islands, and there was no way to change that. So it is normal for him to be doubted. As one of the Don Quixote cadres, it was normal for Marine to call Doflamingo. And what happened next was exactly what happened. Just as Yang Hao thought, what Doflamingo said was about the destruction of the Tianlong ship. Over there in Sabayati, a celestial dragon's ship was destroyed. It wasn't you who did it, right? There was an interrogation hidden in Doflamingo's voice. He knew something about the incident before he received the call from warring states. You know, he also has certain power in the Sabayati Islands. So he already knew that it was the Tianlong people's ship that was destroyed by one blow. But Doflamingo is not sure whether Yang Hao did this. In fact, he understood Yang Hao's power. But as Monet said, Yang Hao is really hard to understand. Whether he has this power or not, I really can't say for sure. So now, when Doflamingo calls, it's mostly a test. Such a temptation was naturally handled easily by Yang Hao. What kind of Tianlong? What kind of ship? Anyway, he just pretends to be crazy and stupid. He doesn't need to disguise himself too cleverly. After all, he also knows that Doflamingo only has a partial understanding and cannot confirm it. Really, seeing that Yang Hao always looked confused, Doflamingo temporarily gave up his doubts. Of course, this is also because he also hopes that Yang Hao is not. Even if it is, pretend not to be. Otherwise, it will really affect his status as 7 warlords of the sea. In the end, Doflamingo naturally revealed the real purpose of calling Yang Hao. Not long after, Marine's general candidate Momosegi will go to Punk and Thad to find you. Just stay as you are and face her interrogation. What? Yang Hao still pretended to be surprised. Doflamingo was too lazy to say anything more and ended the call directly. After ending the phone call, Yang Hao naturally smiled. Oh, he knew that Doflamingo didn't believe in him very much, but he was willing to refuse to admit it. Otherwise, it will be detrimental to Doflamingo. That's why I left such a meaningful sentence at the end. Yang Hao naturally laughed at this. No one is a fool. He never thought that doing so would be perfect. Even with simulations, accidents may occur. Not to mention, this time, he didn't simulate for too long. Now that he has been investigated and suspected in reality, it is normal. But things didn't go beyond Yang Hao's calculations. As long as the Tianlong people are not attacked or die, even if the other party investigates, they will not send general-level combat forces to carry out a crusade. Therefore, for Marine, sending an elite lieutenant general is almost the limit. Such an existence would naturally not pose the slightest threat to Yang Hao. The only thing that surprised Yang Hao was that the one Marine sent this time was Momosegi. Thinking of that woman, the smile on Yang Hao's face became a little more joyful. Momosegi felt that he was sent out to deal with Yang Hao by the warring states period, which was very satisfying. But why doesn't Yang Hao think so? The person who came this time turned out to be that woman Momosegi. Great, in this way, wouldn't he be able to take the opportunity to avenge the last time he was hunted down? Thinking of what he said after getting rid of Momosegi, the smile on Yang Hao's face became a bit more evil. After this period of time, he is no longer the theoretically invincible Brother Chu. Baby 5, Violet, Lackey, these women were all conquered by him one by one. Now Yang Hao, in that aspect, can be said to be invincible both in theory and in practice. When the time comes to deal with Momosegi, she will definitely be called Daddy. Of course, if you want to do this, there is a very important prerequisite, that is, defeat Momosegi. So, with Yang Hao's current strength, can he do this? Yang Hao is also looking forward to this. Having mastered the power of 6 styles, Haki, Dwang Fist, Turtle-style Qigong, Monster Strengthening, etc., can he defeat Momosuke, who was a formidable enemy when he first entered the Grand Line? The arrival of Momosuke allowed him to completely verify this point. In view of this, after answering the call from Doflamingo, Yang Hao was not panicked, but was filled with surprises. This is not bad news for him, but rather great news. Yang Hao suddenly discovered that sometimes not simulating is not entirely a disadvantage. Because when the good news appears, what you will get is a double surprise. In this case, then he will be in Punk Hasad, waiting for Momosuke to come. Thinking like this, Yang Hao performed his air dance skills and soared into the sky again. With a bang, he was completely away. Reality a month later. Yang Hao returned to Punk Hasad. Entering the giant research institute with BABY5, Caesar Current and Monet quickly greeted them. Yang Hao, you guy is finally back. Where is my money? As soon as Caesar Current came up, he said with great resentment. When Yang Hao left before, it was equivalent to running away with the money. He took away 90 million out of 100 million belly. If it weren't for the promise of double repayment, he would have complained to Doflamingo. In fact, Monet had already secretly informed Doflamingo about this situation, but Doflamingo still didn't say much. As a boss, he still has a pattern. It doesn't really matter how much money my subordinates spend, as long as there are results. As for the results, Yang Hao is indeed good at it now. Hearing Caesar Current's words, Yang Hao immediately smiled and said, "Don't worry, brother Caesar, I won't lie to you. I will pay you back double the money immediately." Speaking of this, Yang Hao couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. To be honest, he originally planned to return double the amount to Caesar Current. After all, compared to the shocking harvest of Sky Island, 90 million times 2 is really just a drop in the bucket. But another upgrade of the system disrupted his plan, and Yang Hao wanted to default on his debt again. Fortunately, this time I robbed the celestial dragons in Sabayati and still had money to pay back to Caesar Current. Of course, this is also because the next research on the Fur tribe will require the help of Caesar Current. Otherwise, Yang Hao is really not willing to pay back the money now. But what Yang Hao didn't expect was that after returning the 190 million to Caesar Current, the other party actually brought him a surprise. Chapter 137 3.0 Blue Wave Ball, 10 minutes. The amount of property from the Tianlong people was not large, only more than 300 million belly. But Yang Hao still kept his promise, took out half of it, and returned it to Caesar Current. There is no other way. If you want to study the Fur tribe, you have to rely on his scientific power. What Yang Hao didn't expect was that after Caesar Current accepted the money, he actually brought him a surprise. Here, it's what you want. A small bag was thrown over. Yang Hao subconsciously caught it. What? As he spoke, he opened the bag, and there were more than a dozen small orange pills inside. Yang Hao recognized it at a glance. It was a blue wave ball. But obviously, this is no ordinary blue wave ball, this is. After reacting, Yang Hao's eyes lit up. Sure enough. Caesar Current came with a proud voice. Didn't you ask me to improve the new blue wave ball before? The effect of this medicine should be longer lasting. I have also tested it. Hearing this, Yang Hao perked up. It was exactly what he thought. Now the Rambo ball that Caesar Current took out is not a version, but a version, which is the one that Caesar Current improved for Chopper 2 years after the original work. Although the weakening time will be extended, the time for strengthening into a normal monster will also increase. Although Yang Hao knew that this was not a difficult task for Caesar Current. But now that he saw that the other party had successfully developed it, Yang Hao was still greatly surprised. After experiencing the battle with Aokiji, he became more aware of the value of monster strengthening time. To be honest, that is to say, the previous monster strengthening only lasted 3 minutes. If it could be extended indefinitely, he was confident that he could fight Aokiji for 3 days and 3 nights. By that time, even if he doesn't use the stronger Super Saiyan God form, he will truly have the power to compete with the general. Of course, the time this blue wave ball can extend for Yang Hao should still be limited. It cannot be extended indefinitely, but it can be extended 3 to 5 times, which is already very good. Such an extension still cannot allow Yang Hao to match the general. But it's not completely useless. On the contrary, it is still very useful. For example, after the monster was strengthened, Yang Hao's power could reach the level of a general. At this level, it will be very easy for him to deal with enemies at the level of Emperor and Deputy. But this ease is actually relative. You know, even if you are a general, it will take a certain amount of effort to defeat an Imperial Deputy. It is rare to say that a battle is resolved within a few minutes. An ordinary lieutenant, not to mention being able to fight with a general, is not a big problem, but if he can sustain it for hundreds of rounds. Therefore, Yang Hao's monster strengthening was a bit embarrassing. You may be able to gain the upper hand against enemies at the level of Emperor and Lieutenant, but it is very likely that you will not be able to tell the winner before the time limit ends, and will be overturned by the opponent. So, does the upcoming Momosuke count as the royal deputy? Yang Hao made an analogy and felt that Momosuke should have reached the level of emperor and deputy. In this way, with the current version of Rambo Ball, he will be more secure in dealing with Momosuke. Of course, Yang Hao doesn't really want to go to war with Momosuke. After all, even if he can really defeat Momosuke in reality, he still has to consider the consequences. If you beat her, not only will it not be a good thing, but it will make you embarrassed. This is a very simple truth. If he has the power to defeat Momosuke, it will increase the suspicion that he is the murderer of the Celestial Dragon ship crash incident. Even if there is no such suspicion, Marine will pay more attention to him. Doflamingo will also be wary of him. All in all, there is no benefit in defeating Momosuke in reality, he can only lose. Or, just deal with the investigation in a serious manner and muddle through. But this does not affect Yang Hao's fight with Momosuke in the simulation. It doesn't matter if you break the rules in the simulation. This time, if he had money and time, Yang Hao could play slowly with Momosuke in the simulation. But if you want to apply the learning materials you learned in your childhood to your opponent, you need to defeat Momosuke's power. Regarding this point, Yang Hao actually didn't have much confidence. After all, Momosuke is a candidate for general, an elite among the elite lieutenant generals. Her power can definitely defeat the level of an imperial deputy. With Yang Hao's current strength, he can only know if he can really defeat her. Perhaps with multiple simulations, Yang Hao can defeat Momosuke like he did with Capone Becky. But that situation was not what Yang Hao wanted. What he wants is to defeat Momosuke head-on and conquer that woman violently. So now Caesar Current's version of Rambo Ball has come just in time. This will greatly increase his success rate against Momosuke. Thinking of this, Yang Hao couldn't wait. So he was not in a hurry to study the Fur tribe with Caesar Current, but returned to his room first. Of course, he didn't immediately start simulating Momosuke. The most urgent task now is to verify the effect of this new blue wave ball. As long as the effect is completely clear, he can better use it to enhance himself. Therefore, Yang Hao's simulation goal this time is to verify the effect of the blue wave ball. On the first day, you ate a version of the blue wave ball and entered the monster enhanced form. From the beginning of the transformation, you calculated the time. In the end, you were surprised to find that it was indeed more than 3 minutes. The final time was, it's 10 minutes. Close black lens bracket. The next day, you eat the blue wave ball again and enter the monster's enhanced form. This time, while calculating the duration of the form, you also take the opportunity to become familiar with this monster's enhanced form. Close black lens bracket. After all, in the last battle with Aokiji, you were not very skilled in using your enlarged body. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket the third day, close black lens bracket. End of simulation. This time's benign changes, 1 monster strengthening experience, elimination of malignant changes, 1 sequelae of body enlargement. Yang Hao's experience in using monster enhancement has indeed improved. But what concerned him most was the true effect of the blue wave ball. The time for normal monster transformation and strengthening has indeed been extended, from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, there are already a lot of things that can be done. It can even end a battle with an enemy at the level of an emperor and deputy. Yang Hao was very satisfied. After finishing the simulation, he began to produce large batches of versions of the blue wave ball. It wasn't until he had more than 100 pills that he stopped with satisfaction. Making this blue wave ball in large batches cost Yang Hao a lot of money. However, Yang Hao still has about 300 million funds in his hands. This amount of funds is definitely enough to simulate the battle with Momosuke. As for using it later to continue to develop giant medicine and study Fur tribe, it should not be enough. But it doesn't matter if we think of a solution at that time. Now that everything is ready, it's time to start officially simulating the battle with Momosuke. The corners of Yang Hao's mouth curled up slightly, and he started the simulation again. Chapter 138 Fierce Battle with Momosuke. On the first day, you didn't wait for Momosuke's arrival. Close black lens bracket. The next day, the same thing. Close black lens bracket. You are not anxious, you are just exercising silently, maintaining your state at its peak, and waiting quietly. Close black lens bracket. On the 6th day, a medium-sized warship arrived at Punk Hassad. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The marine leader on the ship is none other than Momosuke. Close black lens bracket. As soon as Momosuke appeared, you were aware of it and took the initiative to fly. After all, the existence of Caesar Current was not suitable to be exposed. You decided to set the battlefield on the coast of the island. Close black lens bracket. Ape. Seeing your appearance, Momosuke's charming face turned cold. Close black lens bracket. Long time no see, Momosuke. You grinned. Although you haven't seen Momosuke for a few months, for you who can simulate it, it has actually been a long, long time. But when you see Momosuke again, you feel very happy. Good. Close black lens bracket. Without a word, you dive and kill Momosuke. In midair, you suddenly transform into a ferocious ape. Close black lens bracket. Momosuke was shocked when she saw you instantly enter the attack stance. She obviously didn't expect you to start fighting without saying a word, but when she came back to her senses, she stepped on the moonwalk without fear, holding the famous sword Jinpyra tightly, and faced it. Come up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket bang. Close black lens bracket. It was just a fight, but Momosegi's expression changed drastically. The power attached to your fist was beyond her expectation. Close black lens bracket. It's okay that the power is much greater than before, but it actually has the power of iron and arm domineering attached to it. Close black lens bracket. In such a short time, you have actually mastered such power. Momosegi's figure was repulsed, and his pretty face suddenly became serious. Close black lens bracket. Ape, it seems I underestimated you. Momosegi said with a solemn expression as he looked at you hanging in the air. Close black lens bracket. In the attack just now, she actually didn't go all out, so she suffered a small loss and the blood in her body started to boil. You grinned, but didn't bother to respond. The ape's body turned in the air, and dense green light slashes burst out. Close black lens bracket. The torrent of blue light formed by the invincible Hot Wheels instantly covers Momosegi. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Momosegi was shocked again. This is the 6th position Arashi kick, close black lens bracket. Each Lanko is a slash comparable to that of a swordsman, but at this moment, you suddenly used thousands of them. The terrifying power makes Momosegi feel awe-inspiring. At this moment, she no longer despises you. She holds Kinpira tightly with both hands and waves it as slowly as it does quickly. Close black lens bracket. Jinbaluo's sword was instantly filled with a layer of pitch black color, but the moment it fell, a giant crescent-like golden light emerged. Close black lens bracket. The golden light bursts out with the force of opening up the world, directly facing the torrent of Lanjiao you used. The earth-shaking sound exploded. For a moment, the sky seemed to be divided into 2 colors, gold and blue. 2 powerful slashes, after fighting each other for a few seconds, cancelled each other out. Momosegi felt relieved, but suddenly his expression changed slightly. Close black lens bracket. Where is the person? At this time, you have disappeared from your original position. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Momosegi became domineering when he saw this, and immediately noticed the strong wind coming from the side. Close black lens bracket. With a loud sound, a jet black fist was blocked by Jinpyra, and your figure appeared beside Momosegi. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. When the attack failed, you did not retreat, but looked at Momosegi with a half smile. Close black lens bracket. Not good. Momosegi was startled and realized something was wrong again. At this moment, something like an iron rod suddenly appeared from your back and struck Momosegi. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. This is your tail. Close black lens bracket. Momosegi reacted, but it was too late. He subconsciously used paper painting, but he only avoided the heart and was hit in the shoulder. Close black lens bracket. Even though he had used armament hockey to resist, at this moment, Momosegi still felt abnormal pain. She staggered back, and you pursued the victory. Your tail turned into a golden cudgel, and you swung and stabbed, punched wildly with your fists, and kicked your legs and feet. For a moment, Momosegi was suppressed by you. Close black lens bracket. But soon, Momosegi regrouped and withstood your fierce attack. Close black lens bracket. As the fierce battle begins, you make a lot of discoveries. Close black lens bracket. In the last battle, there was a big gap in strength between you and Momosegi, so I could only feel the specific gap between the 2 sides, but could not analyze the combat power in detail. Close black lens bracket. But this time, your strength has greatly increased, and you are even very close to a general, so now you can clearly detect the gap between you and Momosegi. Close black lens bracket. Fighting skills are one thing. The most important thing is that Momosegi's 2-color hockey is stronger than yours. Close black lens bracket. Although the opponent's armed color hockey is not as good as yours due to his physical foundation, but in terms of knowledge, color hockey, he still beats you. Close black lens bracket. This also leads to the fact that most of your attacks are dodged by Momosegi, while a small number are resisted by Momosegi. Close black lens bracket. However, it is difficult for you to dodge Momosegi's attacks, and you are hit from time to time, with scars appearing on your body. Close black lens bracket. The strong candidate for general is undoubtedly revealed at this moment, but you are very excited. Close black lens bracket. Being able to clearly judge the gap between yourself and the enemy will naturally be of great benefit to your battle. Just like now that you know the gap between the 2 parties, you can naturally make changes to this point. Just like a doctor, after understanding the patient's condition, he can prescribe the right medicine. Close black lens bracket. Of course, if a doctor wants to prescribe the right medicine, he must have medicine, and if you want to close the gap with Momosegi, you must have such means. Close black lens bracket. And you do have such a method. At a certain moment when you were fighting Momosegi, you took a step back and temporarily stayed away from Momosegi, and then with a thought, you turned on heart strengthening. Close black lens bracket. The blood in your body flows faster, and under the influence of a strong heart, your physical abilities begin to improve significantly. Mainly strength and speed. With a swipe sound, you suddenly disappeared in place, but there were still afterimages left behind. Seeing such speed, Momosegi's pupils shrank, and he waved the Kinpira in his hand, and a golden light slash suddenly swept away at 365 degrees. Close black lens bracket. She couldn't react to what she saw, heard, or felt. Fortunately, she instantly thought of a way to deal with it, which was to attack in a large area to cope with your speed. Close black lens bracket. Bang. Your figure was indeed forced out by the golden light slash, but you were already very close to Momosegi at this time. Without saying a word, you burst out with a monkey god spear, and your fist as big as clay, glowing with more terrifying power than before, headed towards blast away with Momosegi. Momosegi's pretty face became extremely solemn. After taking a deep breath, a large amount of armed domineering energy swept out, attached to the famous sword Kinpira, then he clenched his hands and lowered it high. Close black lens bracket. The terrifying golden light rushes out like an ancient ferocious beast, your ape god gun suddenly freezes, and the next moment, a violent explosion bursts out. Close black lens bracket. With a boom, you flew out upside down. Close black lens bracket chapter 139 Monsters and Victory. With a bang, you flew out upside down. In midair, you performed a flexible backflip and landed firmly on the ground. Close black lens bracket. You look at the right hand that used the ape divine spear. There is a slash mark on it, which is slowly oozing blood. Close black lens bracket. The great swordsman's armed and domineering slashes are indeed extraordinary. Close black lens bracket. However, Momosegi on the opposite side also felt uncomfortable. The backlash of power made her pretty face turn red and her breath became disordered. Close black lens bracket. Momosegi looks at you with a look full of shock. Now you are just a pirate supernova, but you already have power that almost rivals her. Open black lens bracket. How is that possible? Momosegi couldn't believe it. Close black lens bracket. Looking at Momosegi's expression, you are not surprised. In fact, from Momosegi's point of view, this is the first time he has fought with you, because previous battles actually took place in simulations. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. So for Momosegi now, this is also the first time he fights with you. Close black lens bracket. Momosegi may have a certain regard for Pirate Supernova, but he will never treat it as a rival of the same level. This is also the reason why Momosegi did not go all out at the beginning, but now, I really feel that you are showing off the strength she exerted made everyone stupid. Close black lens bracket. You are not complacent because of this, but continue to deal with it calmly. Although it is only in a simulation, you cannot underestimate the enemy, not to mention that the opponent is a candidate for a general. As expected, Yang Hao fought fiercely with Momosegi again. Close black lens bracket. Even if the heart enhancement is turned on, he cannot gain the upper hand. Momosegi's swordsmanship is soft and delicate, but also fast and fierce. His swordsmanship is very strong, and it is very likely that he has reached the level of Zoro 2 years later in the original work. Close black lens bracket. In addition, her two-color domineering power is even better than that of Yang Hao, so after turning on the heart enhancement, Yang Hao does not have much advantage. Close black lens bracket. Clang, clang, clang. Boom, boom, boom. There are loud noises, and you and Momosegi are in a stalemate. Close black lens bracket. Logically speaking, such a battle should be beneficial to you. Momosegi's physique may not be weak, but it is definitely not comparable to yours. Close black lens bracket. But with the heart strengthened, your consumption is also not small. Coupled with the injuries caused before, if the battle continues, you may not necessarily win. Close black lens bracket. In other words, even if you defeat Momosegi in the end, it will probably be a disastrous victory for both sides. Close black lens bracket. Realizing this, you shake your head secretly. Close black lens bracket. Sure enough, you still need to take the blue wave ball. Thinking of this, you no longer hesitate, and immediately find an opportunity, take out the blue wave ball, and swallow it. Close black lens bracket. Momosegi's defeat undoubtedly confirmed his great progress during this period. Too many doubts filled Momosegi's heart. You grinned, without any intention of explaining, and with a bang, you shot towards Momosegi like a human-shaped cannonball. Close black lens bracket. Although the initial battle was mostly testing, it also consumed a lot of Momosegi's strength. Therefore, after the monsters were strengthened, Yang Hao suppressed Momosegi relatively easily and defeated him. Since the other party is chasing him in the simulation, he should also take revenge in the simulation. But soon, dense and huge green light slashes blocked her, causing her figure to freeze. Close black lens bracket. But now, he can defeat the opponent head-on. Well done. However, you were not surprised by such a powerful attack and shouted loudly. Close black lens bracket. In reality, seeing this, a cheerful smile suddenly appeared on Yang Hao's handsome face. Golden light is everywhere, and the sharp skybreaker makes people feel awe-inspiring. Close black lens bracket. Very fair, haha. Under the strengthening of the monster, your power, coupled with the iron block and armed color hockey, are so powerful that Momosegi can no longer resist it. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, in front of your bloody mouth, the air twisted. The invisible sound waves froze the cross slash for a second, and then it was directly exploded by your brutal collision. Crush the golden light on the ground, you had rushed towards Momosuke like a devil, with such force that Momosuke was shocked. Taking this opportunity, you quickly approached, using fists and kicks, and swung your tail wildly. Close black lens bracket. There is no doubt that the monster is strengthening. Momosuke was stunned by this situation. Close black lens bracket. The figure that was originally 3 meters tall has grown taller again, your body has grown greatly, and your hair has grown wildly. Under Momosuke's shocked gaze, you have suddenly turned into a huge golden ape monster of 15 meters. Close black lens bracket. There is also another goal, which is to teach the other party a lesson so as to prevent the pursuit and killing at that time. Momosuke was about to continue his attack, but suddenly he was startled. He saw an astonishing change in you on the opposite side. Close black lens bracket. After a while, the warship fled, and your monster strengthening time was about to end, but at this time, Momosuke had suddenly fallen to the ground, unconscious. Close black lens bracket. As a last resort, Momosuke could only fight head-on, but after more than a dozen rounds, the tiger's mouth was in severe pain, and he could hardly hold the sword in his hand. What is this? Even though she is well informed, she cannot understand how you have turned into a giant. Can an animal fruit ability user carry out such an amazing transformation? Or is it that your animal fruit ability is not ordinary? Ape form. Close black lens bracket. In less than 5 minutes, Momosuke's lips were stained red with blood, and his pretty face turned pale. Close black lens bracket. Of course, the reason why he was able to defeat the opponent so smoothly was not only due to the extended time of his monster's strengthened form, but also the reason why he had spent some time before. With just a brief contact, Momosuke realized how powerful you were at this time, with excellent defense and shocking strength, but your speed is not much slower. Close black lens bracket. Monster. Just a monster. Momosuke sighed and jumped away. Facing you who became a monster, she subconsciously chose to escape. Close black lens bracket. And then, Yang Hao did not end the simulation. Just as he imagined, the monster's strengthened power has indeed reached the level of a general. Even a general candidate like Momosuke can't resist it. In fact, in the monster's enhanced form, your attack range is too large, your tail is like sweeping an army, you can trigger earthquakes with every punch and kick, and you sometimes roar sound waves, making it impossible for Momosuke to avoid it. Close black lens bracket. When he first entered the Grand Line, he was chased by Momosuke and could only escape. Such progress is not small. On the warship not far away, the Marines were shocked when they saw such a battle and wanted to help. As a result, Momosuke yelled and told the people on the warship to flee. Close black lens bracket. Thinking of this, Yang Hao's spirit became excited. At this moment, she actually felt as if she was facing a strong person of the same level as the giants. No, I should say you are more terrifying than the giants. Momosuke came back to his senses, his pretty face changed wildly, and he mobilized his strength. He suddenly waved the famous sword Kinpira twice in his hand, and struck you with a huge cross slash. Close black lens bracket. This simulation, testing whether Momosuke can be defeated with the current power, is only one of the goals. Momosuke had to deal with it head-on. He originally wanted to use his haki to dodge, but found that it was impossible to do so. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 140. Rabbit suffers from old sins. Momosuke opened his eyes drowsily, suddenly startled, and when he woke up, he was startled again when he saw you standing in front of him. Close black lens bracket. The memories before coma quickly emerged, making Momosuke's face look shocked. Close black lens bracket. She actually lost to you, a supernova who debuted less than a year ago. Let me go. After coming back to his senses, Momosuke struggled quickly, only to realize that he was tied up by you, and not only was he in a weird posture, but he also had very few clothes on him. Close black lens bracket. What are you going to do? The strong feeling of something bad made Momosuke look panicked. Close black lens bracket. In any case, she is also a woman and cannot completely remain calm in such a situation. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket and you stood aside, watching Momosuke's reaction with interest. Close black lens bracket. What are you looking at? Faced with your aggressive gaze, Momosuke quickly sensed something, and his face became ashamed and angry. Close black lens bracket. It's okay to be defeated by you as a pirate supernova, but now I have to be so insulted by you, which makes this general candidate a little unable to hold back. Close black lens bracket. Seeing this, the real Yang Hao was a little surprised. Momosuke, a general candidate, according to the setting of the original work, is not only powerful but also a grandmaster of geisha skills. There is no need to explain too much about what a geisha is. I understand everything. According to the setting of the original work, Momosuke often uses this technique to lure pirates. But now, in the simulation, why is she so abnormal? Yang Hao thought for a while and understood. Maybe it's because Momosuke couldn't accept the fact that he was defeated by me, so he became a little angry. Thinking of this, Yang Hao smiled. Of course, it is also possible that Momosuke is not young, and now he is being teased by such a young man, and he is at a loss what to do. But no matter what, this situation seems to be very interesting. Yang Hao continued reading with a smile on his face. Open black lens bracket. Momosuke's reaction made you a little excited. Close black lens bracket. To be honest, wouldn't it be boring if Momosuke acted like a veteran? You have to react fiercely to give you the pleasure of being bullied. Momosuke, you have a great figure. You smiled, showing the reaction a normal man should have when seeing a beautiful woman. Close black lens bracket. Momosuke is even more embarrassed and angry. In fact, she is indeed a grandmaster geisha, but she has not used this skill for a long time. Close black lens bracket. But just like the previous battle, in this different kind of battle, in the end it was you who was superior and conquered Momosuke. Close black lens bracket. You smile slightly. Although you know that the other party is 100% not sincere, you are very willing to cooperate. Close black lens bracket. Smelling the mature aroma of the other person, you also become interested. Close black lens bracket. This unusual situation makes Momosuke even more impatient. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You laughed lightly. At this time, Momosuke was not only taken away from his weapons, but also tied up with sea tower stone chains. Close black lens bracket. Momosuke, haven't you understood the situation? Now you have become my defeated general. If you want to survive, you should know what to do, right? You feel like you have become the villain who threatens the heroine, but this feeling is quite fresh. Close black lens bracket. Obviously I am not young, but the panel is still as smooth and tender as a girl. Close black lens bracket. I understand, I will serve you very comfortably, please let me go. And those long legs, I won't get tired of playing with them for 3 years. Momosuke's beautiful eyes widened and she was shocked. She obviously didn't expect that you would be so impatient. Originally, she wanted to use the skills of a geisha to make you dizzy. Close black lens bracket. Especially next, Yang Hao didn't restrain himself yet, he came over directly, took a deep breath into Momosuke's neck. Close black lens bracket. Not long after, Momosuke collapsed on the ground panting, all his clothes disappeared, and turned into a big white rabbit for anyone to pick. Close black lens bracket. The other party is not a person with abilities, so to be on the safe side, you injected half a tube of muscle relaxant obtained from Caesar coolant into the other party. Close black lens bracket. Facing such a female marine, you were also very excited. After untying the chains on her body, you turned into a hungry wolf and pounced on her. Close black lens bracket. The next moment, you and Momosuke started a different kind of battle. Momosuke's face turned red when she heard this. She tried to stay away from you, but failed. Instead, due to her struggle, you had some physical contact. Close black lens bracket. Momosuke's pretty face suddenly turned red visibly to the naked eye, but she could only endure it and continued to cooperate. Close black lens bracket. You in the simulation are blessed. Close black lens bracket. But how can I put it? After all, she is a marine who has experienced many battles, and she is a geisha who is very experienced in dealing with men. After the initial panic, Momosuke finally calmed down. Close black lens bracket. While sucking in the sweetness from Momosuke's mouth, your hands are not idle either, and you begin to examine Momosuke's body seriously and carefully. Close black lens bracket. She simply stopped struggling and quietly rested her head on your shoulder, exhaling softly. Close black lens bracket. After all, as a young man and a person with animal fruit abilities, you should be very angry. If you use it well, she may not be able to get out of trouble. Close black lens bracket. She was stunned for a few seconds before Momosuke realized what she was doing. She wanted to struggle, but she had no strength at all. Close black lens bracket. Of course, there are also reasons that Yang Hao thinks about. Losing to Yang Hao is really hard for her to accept. In addition, Yang Hao is much younger than her. As a result, she, who is very familiar with dealing with men, feels a little rude. Close black lens bracket. Speaking like this, Momosuke seems to have regained her professionalism as a geisha. Her eyes are like autumn water, and her lips are like peach blossoms. Close black lens bracket. In general, the ending of this simulation is that the little rabbit suffers the old sin. Close black lens bracket. But in a short period of time, it would be absolutely impossible for her to break free. Close black lens bracket. Besides, if you struggle, then what she just said will be in vain. In desperation, Momosuke can only cater to you reluctantly. Close black lens bracket. This potion can make a fellow person's whole body weak and rigid, making him unable to speak on his own. But since there is only a half pipe, Momosuke can still talk. Close black lens bracket. The battle situation is very fierce. Although Momosuke has no actual combat experience, he is invincible in theory. Various geisha skills will make you feel more comfortable. Close black lens bracket. But you came up just to make her panic. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. It's very big and very white. Close black lens bracket. The manly scent that hit his face made Momosuke's face turn red, and his legs and feet seemed a little weak. Close black lens bracket. Looking at the other person's pretty face, you suddenly lowered your head and kissed him. Close black lens bracket. After all, as her strength becomes stronger and stronger, she will no longer need these fancy tricks to deal with pirates, especially after becoming a general candidate. Close black lens bracket. No, what did you do? Why am I so weak? Soon, Momosuke realized that it was not Yang Hao's movements and proximity that made her body weak, but her body, which had no strength in the first place. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 141. Yang Hao is impeccable. Something happened to Shichibukai. It was the 6th day when Yang Hao returned to Punk Hassad. A medium-sized warship arrived here as promised. At the bow of the ship, a female marine with her hair tied up and exuding a mature charm stood there, looking at Punk Hassad not far away. None other than Momosuke. After several days of sailing at full speed, they suddenly arrived at Punk Hassad where Yang Hao was. Looking at the island not far away, Momosuke squinted his beautiful eyes and seemed thoughtful. At this time, Punk Hassad is not the ice and fire island of later generations. Its background is the desert island abandoned by Vegapunk after studying poisonous gas leaks. What was Yang Hao doing on such a deserted island? Momosuke came here to find Yang Hao, so naturally he couldn't help but consider this issue. But this is naturally only secondary. The most important thing is to investigate the Tianlong shipwreck incident. Thinking of this, Momosuke couldn't help but think of the situation at Aokiji. When she came to find Yang Hao, Aokiji had naturally been in contact with Rayleigh. The two sides even had a fight. But in the end, there was still no result. Rayleigh disappeared again. But later, Aokiji found out more. That is, Rayleigh disguised herself as a slave many times, entered the auction house, and defrauded money. Among them, many nobles and even Tianlong people were deceived by him. They bought them back and suddenly disappeared. This situation obviously aggravated Rayleigh's suspicion. After all, he might have had a problem with that Tianlong man, which gave him the motive to take action against him. Of course, based on this alone, it cannot be concluded that Rayleigh is a vicious beast. Therefore, there is still not much progress in the Tianlong shipwreck incident. Momosuke's side still needs to investigate Yang Hao. Just as Momosuke was thinking this, the warship finally docked. Momosuke had just taken people off the boat and walked a short distance away when he suddenly froze. In front of them, on the road in front of the coast, two figures suddenly appeared. One male and one female. The man has a muscular upper body, a handsome face, black hair, black eyes, and a mole on the corner of his eye. It was none other than Yang Hao. And that woman, wearing a maid's dress, with a pretty face and a hot body, is naturally baby -5. Seeing the two of them, Momosuke couldn't help but frown. It would be fine if I just saw them. It happened that at this time, the two of them were having a barbecue. There is a dining table on the ground, as well as ingredients for the oven. To be more precise, it was baby 5 grilling meat for Yang Hao. When Momosuke and others arrived, Yang Hao happened to eat a piece of barbecue fed by baby 5 with a look of enjoyment on his face. They are very leisurely and have a different style of painting from Momosuke and others. All the Marines looked strange. Momosuke also had a dark look on his face. This time when she came here, she seemed to be asking for help. Yang Hao, what does this mean? Long time no see, Momosuke. At this time, Yang Hao obviously saw Momosuke and others, and immediately smiled and said hello with a friendly face. Momosuke frowned. For some reason, she felt something was wrong. Yang Hao should have predicted her arrival, but why did he not seem to care? Moreover, shouldn't the other party be hostile to me? What's going on with this friendly face? Also, I don't know if it was Momosuke's illusion, but she always felt that there was a hint of teasing hidden in Yang Hao's smile. What does this mean? Momosuke suppressed the doubts in his heart and said indifferently, Ape, it's not a good thing for me to come to you. I know. Yang Hao still had a smile on his face. Now it is no longer in the simulation, but in the real world. But thinking of the previous simulation experience, Yang Hao was still a little happy. You must know that although it is a simulation, due to the system upgrade, the simulation experience is no longer like the previous barrier for Yang Hao, but as immersive. Therefore, for Yang Hao, the beautiful scene in the simulation is actually the same as what happened in reality, forming a memory. And with such a memory, it is difficult for Yang Hao to be dissatisfied with Momosuke anymore. The look he looked at Momosuke was no longer hostile, but filled with appreciation and joy. Such a look made Momosuke very unhappy. Naturally, she didn't know that in the simulation, she had already had the most intimate contact with Yang Hao. And later, the arrogant female marine studied 108 postures with Yang Hao. But for now, Yang Hao's good attitude may not be a good thing. After all, she still needs Yang Hao to cooperate with the investigation. On the other hand, baby 5's pretty face condensed slightly when she saw Momosuke and others. She also knew the purpose of Momosuke and others. BABY5, don't be so nervous. There are always customers coming to your door. Please arrange a seat for Brigadier General Momosuke. Yang Hao saw baby 5's expression was wrong and immediately ordered with a smile. He and Momosuke had fought and done things, and now there was no need to get into a tense situation. This time, Momosugi came here in reality, and he only had to deal with it for a while. In this case, of course there is no need to fall out. Hearing Yang Hao's words, Baby 5 was a little reluctant, but still did it. Momosugi squinted at Yang Hao for a few times, then sat down, but did not eat the barbecue, but said directly, Ape, you should know the purpose of my visit. There is no need for us to be long-winded, let's be direct. Did you destroy the Tianlong people's ship? Hearing this, Yang Hao said Kaido without even thinking. No. You said no. But we found that you were in the Sabayati Islands when the Draco ship was destroyed. Momosugi also pressed the question without hesitation. Yang Hao's expression remained unchanged. So what? I'm in the Sabayati Islands, so that means I did it. Why? There were so many people in the Sabayati Islands at that time, why didn't they say it was them? Hearing this, Momosugi snorted coldly. Of course we didn't suspect you without reason, but we checked everyone on the island and you were the only suspect. There were originally two suspects, one was Rayleigh and the other was Yang Hao. But it was naturally impossible to reveal such an inside story to Yang Hao. So now, Momosugi is deliberately using words to deceive, to run against Yang Hao, trying to find out his flaws, or whether there are loopholes in his words. After all, there is a saying that a thief has a guilty conscience. If a person really does something, it is difficult to hide it. However, what Momosugi didn't know was that Yang Hao had already simulated the current interrogation situation several times. So when he answered, he would be watertight and would not let Momosugi find any flaws at all. In this way, the two of them argued for an hour. Yang Hao's answer gave Momosugi a headache. It's really watertight, but Momosugi doesn't necessarily have to ask for anything. When she came here to find Yang Hao, she was actually just showing Marine's attitude. In addition, if possible, she also wanted to take the opportunity to teach Yang Hao a lesson. So at this time, seeing that nothing could be asked, Momosugi was already thinking about finding an excuse to start a fight with Yang Hao directly. But at this moment, at the warship, a Marine suddenly ran over panting with a phone. Brigadier General Guillaume, there is an urgent military situation here. Momosugi was startled, quickly took the phone, and walked to the side to answer it. As a result, her expression soon changed. All because this urgent military situation is actually about 7 warlords of the sea. Something happened to one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Chapter 142 Momosugi has no choice but to leave. The wave of the times is coming. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, are you kidding me? Crocodile, that sand crocodile was defeated by a new pirate. Looking at the phone bug, Momosugi's pretty face was filled with shock. The call was from the Warring States Fleet Admiral, but the military information reported shocked her particularly. Like Doflamingo, Crocodile, who was also a member of the 7 warlords of the sea, was actually defeated. As for the reason, Momosugi also knows. It seems that Crocodile is causing trouble in the Alabasta Kingdom and wants to steal the country. Momosugi is not surprised by this. Every 7 warlords of the sea has bad intentions. In other words, every pirate who becomes 7 warlords of the sea has his own demands and purposes. Jinbei wants to protect Fishman Island with the help of 7 warlords of the sea. The same goes for the Empress. As for Doflamingo, it goes without saying that he wants to use the status of 7 warlords of the sea to do better business and develop his power. Therefore, it is not surprising at all that Crocodile used the name of 7 warlords of the sea to steal the country. But what Momosugi didn't expect was that Crocodile failed. The reason for the failure is still because of a new pirate named Straw Hat Boy. Are all new pirates that fierce? Momosugi subconsciously glanced at Yang Hao not far away. If the destruction of the Tianlong ship was really caused by Yang Hao, then Yang Hao is simply more powerful than this Straw Hat Boy. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, so what you mean now is? After coming back to his senses, Momosugi asked again. It was impossible for Sengoku to call her for no reason. Even if it is important military information, it can be faxed. If you make a phone call in person, it will explain what tasks or instructions there are. Sure enough, Sengoku on the opposite side immediately said, Guillaume, have you seen Yang Hao over there? He probably won't admit it, right? I guess even if he is really the murderer, he won't admit it, and Doflamingo won't let him admit it. In that case, then you go directly to Alabasta now. Smoker is over there. You go assist him and escort Crocodile back. I originally wanted to send Aokiji there, but he is still searching for Rayleigh, so he can only let you go. One trip. Okay. Sengoku Fleet Admiral. Momosugi naturally has no objection. But after ending the phone call, looking at Yang Hao who was leisurely enjoying Baby 5's service not far away, he felt a little angry. Is it an illusion? Why did she do this again this time when she came to deal with Yang Hao? Every time she wanted to take action against Yang Hao, she would suddenly be stopped. The last time, it was Yang Hao who joined Don Quixote. But this time, it was Crocodile who needed to be dealt with. There is no doubt that in comparison, the situation in Crocodile is definitely more serious. After all, the Tianlong shipwreck incident is not so easy to solve. It can only be expressed as an attitude. Of course, Momosugi also knew the reason why Sengoku did this. The reason why she was transferred was not only because Aokiji couldn't leave, but also because she didn't want to conflict with Doflamingo. After all, something happened to Crocodile, and it is very likely that the other party's status will be abolished in the future. That would leave a spot for 7 warlords of the sea. At this time, if there is a conflict with Doflamingo and any problems arise with the 7 warlords of the sea, then this system will be somewhat dangerous. 7 warlords of the sea system, currently their marine still needs to be maintained. After all, this way, not only can these powerful pirates cause less trouble, but they can also use their power when they conflict with the 4 emperors. All in all, 7 warlords of the sea can go wrong, but not really big ones. It's just that it's really uncomfortable to be stuck at this point. Momosuke looked depressed. Seeing Momosuke's depressed look, Yonghao felt relieved. After finishing Momosuke, it's time for Yonghao to continue researching. Although his current strength is very close to that of a top powerhouse, he still needs to work hard. In comparison, Yonghao smiled even more. Seeing the Marines leaving, Baby 5 patted her chest and took a long breath. Huh, I'm finally gone. That woman is not simple. If there's a fight, we may not be her opponent. He did not tell Baby 5 that he was able to beat Momosuke. If she really beats up Yonghao, there's no telling what Doflamingo's attitude will be. No matter what, the situation where Momosuke was called back was a good thing for Yonghao. Of course, this doesn't seem surprising. Oh, it turns out something happened to Crocodile. But looking at Momosuke's leaving figure, the smile on Yonghao's face gradually faded. And again, the current 7 warlords of the sea cannot have any more problems. In this way, it would be easier for him to deal with Momosuke. However, Yonghao's attitude was so good that it would be unjustifiable for her to strike again. Even the young master is afraid of her. This is the candidate Marine General. Momosuke didn't look back and left with Marine. Naturally, Yonghao didn't know about this military intelligence content at the beginning. After all, since he wanted to simulate how to deal with Momosuke, he must have simulated it several times. In the future, only the truly strong will be able to survive this huge wave. The only thing that surprised Yonghao was that in the original work, it was Aokiji who should have handled the escort in the past. Why was it replaced by Momosuke this time? Just like this moment, Crocodile's defeat not only means that Momosuke is leaving, but it also means that Luffy, the son of fate, has arrived at the Grand Line. Hearing this, Yonghao smiled dumbly. The current situation was also what he expected. Let's go back to. It's quite anticlimactic. Let's go. Seeing the smile on Yonghao's face, Momosuke's desire to teach him a lesson became even stronger. This situation also indicates that the wave of the new era has quietly arrived. So he also knew that Momosuke received emergency military information temporarily. When he saw Momosuke coming back with a displeased face, he immediately greeted with a smile. Brigadier General Momosuke, how are you? Are you hungry? I see you are busy working and haven't eaten well. This barbecue tastes really good. Come and try it too. Bar. Thinking of this, Yonghao waved his hand, put away the things, then hugged BABY5, and controlled the dance sky to rise into the sky. So after thinking about it, Momosuke could only grit his silver teeth, suppress the thought of beating Yonghao violently, and turn around suddenly. After all, now that Yonghao exists in the pirate world, it is normal for any changes to occur. But after deliberately asking about it in the simulation later, I naturally understood it clearly. Chapter 143. The General and the Emperor are on the same level, asking the ant for money. Less than a moment, Yonghao took Baby 5 back to the research room. Let Baby 5 move on his own, and he found Caesar Current directly. Brother Caesar, you didn't spend that money, right? Why don't we all contribute money together and spend it on the human body enlargement experiment? Pulling Caesar Current, Yonghao said with a smile. The wave of the new era has arrived. Yonghao didn't want to be swallowed by the wave, so he could only work harder to become stronger. And his current method of becoming stronger is obviously very simple. One is the enhanced form of monsters. One is the Super Saiyan God form. As long as these two forms last longer or become routine. With his strength, he can completely enter the ranks of generals, and even have the power to fight against the 4 emperors. Speaking of which, we have to talk about the difference between generals and 4 emperors. In fact, in Yonghao's opinion, it is correct to say that the generals and emperors are of the same rank. Both the generals and the 4 emperors are the top powerhouses in this world. It's just that one is a marine title and the other is a pirate title. Of course, some people will say that the general is better than the 4 emperors, and some people think that the 4 emperors are better than the general. In fact, in Yonghao's heart, he also feels that 4 emperors is better. Why do you say that? This point is actually compared with the 3 generals Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru. These 3 generals are all from marine school, with solid academic backgrounds. Whitebeard, Kaido, Red Hair, Big Mom, etc. were all killed by Noroko. Both sides have reached the level of top powerhouses, but which road is more difficult? The answer is self-evident. Of course, it is more difficult for people like Whitebeard Kaido. They were all killed by mountains of corpses and seas of blood. But Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru and others have teachers and superiors who teach and train them all. They may have gone through hundreds of battles to become generals, but the degree of difficulty was definitely lower than that of the 4 emperors. So the 4 emperors should be stronger than the generals. Because despite the unequal resources, they have reached the same heights as Akainu, Aokiji and others. And the 4 emperors are stronger than the generals, which does not affect the statement that the generals and emperors are of the same level. Because even 2 people of the same level will be strong and weak. Just like the pirates' supernova, are their strengths exactly the same? There are also 7 warlords of the sea, these are good examples. Therefore, if Yang Hao's power can reach the level of a general, he will naturally be able to compete with the 4 emperors. Even some 4 emperors might be beaten up by Yang Hao, such as Buggy, haha. Back to business. Currently, there are 2 ways for Yang Hao to be promoted to the general level. One is monster strengthening, and the other is Super Saiyan God. In comparison, Yang Hao is of course more inclined to become a Super Saiyan God. After all, the Super Saiyan God, if you really think about it, is stronger than monster strengthening. As mentioned before, the Super Saiyan God is a reduced version of the monster with enhanced strength. It has concentrated power and is even more powerful. There is also the issue of body size. The same strength can be better exerted in a smaller size. Moreover, when monsters are strengthened, they are also suspected of becoming targets. Kaido has experienced this. His Azure Dragon Beast form often fails to achieve any results. Instead, it is more susceptible to injury because of its huge body. However, after thinking about it, Yang Hao decided to study monster enhancement first. After all, in the Super Ape God form, Yang Hao felt that he could achieve a breakthrough on the fur tribe. But studying fur people is not that easy. Putting aside everything else, the loss rate alone was unbearable for Yang Hao. If you want to study the moon lion transformation of the fur tribe, is one fur tribe enough? Thinking about it, you know it's impossible. But the value of furs is extremely high, so Yang Hao is lucky to find one. Unless, he can occupy Zou Island in the future and labor the entire fur tribe for his own research. By then, we should be able to work out a trick. But with his current strength, it is still a bit difficult. So after thinking about it, Yang Hao decided to study the enhanced form of monsters first. In fact, Yang Hao already has a head that can be used to strengthen the monster's form. This head is because he entered the monster enhanced form normally for the first time before. At that time, Yang Hao greatly increased his physical strength through Caesar Current's giant medicine. Later, by chance, he was able to enter the monster's enhanced form normally. Although it was only 3 minutes, it was undoubtedly a major breakthrough. Later, Yang Hao thought about this situation and quickly came to a conclusion. Caesar Current's giant medicine is of great benefit to him entering the monster enhanced form. Perhaps, this is the key to his ability to completely master the enhanced form of monsters. Of course, this requires a lot of giant medicine. At least now, Yang Hao has eaten so much, and there is no sign of fully mastering the monster's enhanced form. So if Yang Hao wants to become stronger through monster strengthening, he still needs a lot of funds, research, and simulation. I don't know if the more than 200 million left on hand is enough. With this idea in mind, Yang Hao naturally came to see Caesar Current again. Hearing Yang Hao's words, Caesar Current's face lit up. What, you also want to invest heavily in human body enlargement experiments? Of course, I feel that this experiment is very promising. If it is really successful, the whole world will be crazy about it. However, even if my funds and yours are added up, it is probably still not enough. Do you want to go to the funder of this research project for more money? Seeing Caesar Current's move, Yang Hao quickly suggested again. Caesar Current's money, combined with his, was not small. But Yang Hao would naturally not have too much of this kind of thing. Even if the monster enhancement research was successful, he could use the remaining money to study the fur tribe. In this case, it is necessary to develop new ways to make money. Yang Hao naturally thought of the sponsor who had been sponsoring this project. As one of the 4 emperors, Auntie. Hee. Yang Hao chuckled secretly. After gathering so much wool from Doflamingo, it's time to find another person. Auntie, that crazy woman, may not be too rich, but she should not be poorer than Doflamingo. After all, she has so many husbands. Just the divorce branch house property will be divided into millionaires, right? She also has so many sons and daughters, so the alimony should be generous, right? Caesar Current naturally didn't know what Yang Hao was thinking, but since it was about research, he was naturally interested and willing. Ever since. It didn't take long. One phone call reached all countries. This is the territory occupied by Auntie. At the same time, Monet, as his secretary, also secretly informed Doflamingo of this situation. Brother Ming's face reflected in the phone bug turned dark. But soon, his helpless voice came. Let them find the ant, so that I can be more relaxed, otherwise I won't be able to pay this month's salary. Hearing this, Monet was stunned. Is the family's financial situation so bad? This Yang Hao is so talented, isn't he? But if he wants to ask his aunt for money, can he really succeed? Chapter 144 Katakuri. Auntie's inspection team. All nations. Cake Island. Auntie is eating like crazy. The ministers and ministers around her were all silent, fearing that the aunt would suddenly go crazy. But at this moment, a tall and domineering figure walked over. Mother. This figure is none other than Katakuri, the second son of the Charlotte family and the leader of the 4 desert generals. Seeing Katakuri appear, the faces of the children around them relaxed. If Big Mom goes crazy, the only person who can resist her is Katakuri. If Katakuri is here, their safety will be greatly improved. Regarding Katakuri's arrival and exchange, Auntie ignored it and continued to stuff desserts into her mouth. It wasn't until Katakuri called out again that Big Mom finally responded. What's the matter? Didn't you see me eating? Hearing this, the surrounding ministers were shocked in their hearts. Katakuri, however, did not show much fear and explained, there is a call from Caesar Kulin. Do I need to give you the call? Caesar Current, who is it? Auntie is still a little confused. Katakuri could only explain, it's the mad scientist. We will provide him with funds from time to study the enlargement of the human body. After hearing this, the aunt finally became more awake. Of course, there are also reasons why we eat almost the same desserts. She raised her head and said with her creamy mouth, what did he call you for? Has the research produced any results? Saying this, Auntie didn't have much hope. After all, this research has only just begun. Now if there are results, it would be amazing. But when Katakuri heard this, he nodded. Yes, he said there are results, but more funds are needed to continue. What? The aunt exclaimed and woke up completely. Her kingdoms gather many races. But relatively speaking, Auntie actually favors the giants more. That kind of terrifying power and astonishing lifespan are what she is eager to pursue. So Auntie attempts to develop the technology to enlarge the human body and turn herself, and even all her family members, into giants. For this reason, Auntie didn't mind and supported Caesar Current in his research. But support is support, and naturally it is not mindless support. If Caesar Current had not produced any research results, it would not be so easy for her to get her money, and she would even have to spit it out. But now, Caesar Current actually said that it has achieved results. What result? After coming back to her senses, the aunt asked doubtfully. Katakuri continued to convey Caesar Kulin's words. He said that the current result is to develop a more powerful giant medicine. This medicine will greatly enhance the time and effect of making people grow into giants, but it also has serious side effects. We must find some more powerful races for research, so we need more funds. As that's so, the aunt was surprised. The surrounding ministers also looked surprised. They also knew about Auntie's sponsorship of human enlargement experiments. In their opinion, this is also a normal thing. After all, Auntie seldom practices cultivation, but is more interested in heresy. For example, combining with men of different races can produce stronger offspring. Or, through marriage, obtain support from other forces. The human body enlargement experiment is obviously a research used by Big Mom to enhance her own power. It's just that everyone is not optimistic about this research. Because of the existence of the giant race, some people have probably conceived the idea of research on human body enlargement a long time ago. But so far, I haven't heard of anyone succeeding. Therefore, in the eyes of everyone, this project is suspected of being a waste of time. But what I never expected was that not long after I started researching, I actually had results. After reacting, the aunt's face showed joy. Okay, very good. How much does that Caesar want? Call him. As long as there are results, aunt naturally doesn't mind paying. But then, when she heard the number Katakuri said, the aunt's face froze. Caesar Current said at least 1 billion bellies were needed. What? The aunt screamed. The surrounding ministers and ministers were also in an uproar. Even though they are members of the 4 emperors and have a big family and business, 1 billion is not a small sum for them. However, in order to study the enlargement of the human body, Auntie hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and said, okay, give it to him. But at this moment, Katakuri suggested, Mom, 1 billion is a lot. It is not safe to give it to Caesar Cullen so easily. Huh, how dare he lie to me? The aunt raised her eyebrows, and her huge and old face became murderous. The murderous aura that instantly spread out made the surrounding ministers feel cold all over. Only the Katakuri noodles did not change color. He is the brains of the Big Mom pirates. It's okay if he doesn't know about this matter. Now that he knows it, of course he can't turn a blind eye. In fact, as Big Mom said, as the 4 emperors, they have powerful intimidation power. Even if Caesar had Doflamingo's background, he couldn't deceive them. But don't be afraid of 10,000, just in case. If 1 billion Baileys were lost in vain, it would be a big blow to their family. So Katakuri was more cautious. Facing the aunt's contempt, he calmly suggested, if the human giant experiment really has such results, 1 billion will be well spent, but currently we only know the existence of the results and what the results are from Caesar Current. It's not clear yet. So I think we should not only look at the images, but also conduct on-site inspections to see if the results are really what Caesar Current said. If the results are real, it would be best, and we can just send the money there. If it's false, then of course we have to let that guy Caesar Current know the serious consequences of deceiving us. After hearing Katakuri's well-founded words, Auntie's eyes suddenly lit up. Katakuri, you're right, just do what you say and leave this matter to you. Yes, Mom. Katakuri naturally had no objection. After all, there may be a conflict when going to meet Caesar Current this time. In other words, Doflamingo, the man behind Caesar Current, may also get involved. In this way, other ministers and even generals are not very able to control him. Only he can win Doflamingo. So, soon, Katakuri took two combatants from the Big Mom Pirates, Eggman Baron and Pocomus, to Punk Hazard. On the other side, Yonghao doesn't know yet that Katakuri will come. After letting Caesar Current make the call, he and Caesar Current started research on human body enlargement. It is worth mentioning that Enel was released by him long ago. Soon, he replaced the energy device in the research room and became a humanoid generator. This allowed Yonghao to study and save more costs. That's all. Everything went smoothly. Until half a month later, a desert-style pirate ship arrived at Punk Hazard. Chapter 145 Card 2 is coming, Yonghao is confident. Punk Hazard. A desert-style pirate ship docks. The pirate symbol depicted on the ship's flag is probably known to everyone in the New World and even throughout the Grand Line. It is one of the four emperors, the symbol of Anti. This ship is naturally the pirate ship sent by Big Mom. On the bow of the boat, Katakuri, Baron Eggman, and Pocomus were all there. Looking at the island in front of him, Baron Eggman couldn't help but sigh. It is said that this Punk Hazard island was Vegapunk's secret research base not long ago. It was only abandoned after a poison gas leak occurred. But what I didn't expect was that Caesar Lang sneaked back again. Hearing this, Pocomus smiled. He is quite smart, so this research institute will be more secretive. Katakuri heard this and nodded noncommittally. A more secretive research institute is naturally beneficial to them. But what he cares about now is the results of the human body enlargement experiment. His thoughts have drifted to this aspect. As Katakuri concentrated, the effect of his cognizant color hockey predicting the future was quietly activated. But at the moment, the predicted information is of course of no use. He didn't care, and took Baron Eggman and Pockmusk towards the huge research institute on the island. It didn't take long. The three of Katakuri arrived at the huge portal of the research institute. The door then opened, and Monet, as the secretary, came out. Lord Katakuri, there are two more, please follow me. The three of them looked at each other and followed Monet in without saying anything. However, during this period, Katakuri glanced at a camera above his head, then silently withdrew his gaze. At the same time, inside the research institute, Caesar suddenly became anxious when he saw Katakuri and his party coming through the video phone bug. What to do? What to do? The Big Mom pirates are already here. Yonghao, think of a solution quickly. If this continues, it will be over. The person coming this time is Katakuri. This perfect man is not easy to deal with. Caesar Current was flying around like an ant on a hot pot. Baby 5, who was serving next to him, also had a somewhat worried look on his face. Not long ago, I got a call from my aunt, saying that I would send someone over to inspect the results of the human body enlargement experiment. The incident happened so suddenly that Caesar Current was stunned. The current human body enlargement experiment has indeed achieved some results, but it is impossible to say how much progress has been made. That 1 billion was exactly what Caesar Current asked for from his aunt. The current results are definitely not worth investing 1 billion. Baby 5 also knew a little bit about the inside story, so he couldn't help but become worried. On the other hand, when Yonghao saw Katakuri coming, a smile appeared on his handsome face. Don't panic, brother Caesar. Katakuri's coming here proves that Auntie really attaches great importance to our research, and the possibility of allocating 1 billion is very high. Hearing this, Caesar Current looked sad. Yonghao, I called you brother. Who doesn't know that my aunt attaches great importance to this research? Otherwise, she wouldn't have sent her most powerful son. But we can't use our current results. If Big Mom gets angry, no, even Katakuri's anger, we can't bear it. No, it seems I have to tell Joker first and ask him to come over quickly, otherwise, we may be killed by this perfect man. Caesar Current was so anxious that he wanted to send reinforcements. Yonghao is still calm. Who said our results can't be used? Don't worry. Caesar Current's mournful face suddenly froze and looked at Yonghao in surprise. As one of the researchers, how could he not know the results of the current experiments on human body enlargement? This result is naturally a giant medicine. It's just that the giant medicine at this time has no improvement compared to the original except for the enhanced medicinal properties. Even the enhanced medicinal properties are not a good thing. This is all because ordinary children can survive for a period of time after taking the previous giant medicine. But with the current giant medicine, he died suddenly immediately after taking it for a short time. What's the use of this kind of achievement? But Yonghao looked confident. Don't worry, my brother Caesar, everything is within my expectations. Real. Seeing that Yonghao didn't seem to be lying, Caesar Current finally hesitated. Yonghao nodded. But I couldn't help but laugh in my heart. To be honest, he was actually surprised by Katakuri's arrival. This proves that what he thought before was right, even the 4 emperors may not be very rich. So in order to spend $1 billion to make it worthwhile, Andy had to send Katakuri to investigate. Of course, what Yang Hao didn't know was, this behavior was suggested by Katakuri. But 1 billion Baileys is indeed not a small amount of money for the 4 emperors. All in all, Katakuri's investigation cannot be stopped. But Yang Hao was naturally not as panicked as Caesar Current. All because in the simulation, he discovered this situation first. Since he discovered it in advance and had no shortage of money, Yang Hao could naturally simulate how to deal with it. Yang Hao was not at all panicked by Katakuri's arrival. His calmness also gradually infected Caesar Current, making him calm down a little. But then, he still said, since you are confident to deal with him, then I will leave him to you to receive him. When the time comes, just say that I'm still researching and can't leave, right, that's it. At the end of the sentence, Caesar Current's eyes lit up, and he seemed to think that his method was very good. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew away. Looking at the back of Caesar Current, who was afraid of leaving, Yang Hao laughed dumbly. Well, Yang Hao, is it really okay? That Katakuri is very strong. At this moment, Baby 5 couldn't help but remind him. Yang Hao touched the little maid's head and said with a smile, it's okay, trust me, go and prepare some refreshments now. When distinguished guests come to your door, you must treat them well. Baby 5 heard the words and immediately responded. Yang Hao's calmness also made her feel relieved. Next, when Baby 5 prepared refreshments, Monet also came here with Katakuri and the other 3. Not seeing Caesar Current made Monet startled, and Katakuri and the other 3 also frowned. Yang Hao greeted him with a smile. Welcome, welcome, I am a cadre of Don Quixote, just call me Yang Hao. Of course, I have another identity, that is, the assistant of Dr. Caesar Current. Hearing this, Katakuri and others raised their eyebrows.